Let's get to it. Let's get to it. Come on, give it to me. I hear the sheep. I hear it right now.
All I gotta ask is, are you ready to battle?
You sounded a bit like a pirate there. A little bit like a pirate. All right, well, let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your grand final for the Elite Classic. After a long slugfest, 2 players have made it to the final day. Well, I guess technically 4 people made it to the final day, but only 2 players have made it to the final series, which is the best of 9 that is in front of us right now. This is game number 1. And boy, oh boy, do we have an absolute banger for you today. Spawning in on the south side of the map in the color green, playing as his Chinese civilization. Representing Team 3D, we have B.
And to the north, representing Easy Esports, it is the one, the only MarineLorD, Asterhus in red. What a matchup, Aussie. Historically, one of the most competitive matchups in AoE 4. A matchup that historically favors B. He's got more wins against MarineLorD than vice versa. And it's gonna be very intriguing to see how MarineLorD plays this. One thing to note, though, is that with the structure of Elite Classic being a round robin, so everybody playing everybody, B and MarineLorD did play against each other, and MarineLorD won 2-1 in the group stage. MarineLorD also defeated B in the second round of Golden League. So the last 2 sets they played, they were in the favor of MarineLorD. But historically, this is a matchup that favors B. Also, we had 2 sets in the first round of Golden League where B won. So with especially looking at the civilizations we have here, especially looking at the map lineup, you mentioned this. This is as close as a coin flip.
Well, I think it's going to depend on a number of factors today, and a big part of that is going to be Bounty. Let's take a look and see how much Bounty MarineLorD has managed to gather so far. We're at the 2-minute mark at the moment, and I'm going to suspect it's probably slightly more than 80.
Well, he made 3 scouts, or he's about to get the 3rd scout out, so he better get at least 80 Bounty. Every time we talk about this, Aussie, I'm just thinking about those new players who just come in to see a broadcast, say, hey, this is cool, this is an AoE for esports, and then they're just like, what the heck are these guys talking about? 80, Bounty. They can't even speak English. What the heck is going on?
Well, you see, Bounty is the correct pronunciation. No, it's a meme. It's a meme. You Google it, you'll find yourself a whole rabbit hole to go down. I mean, there's probably a wormhole that you could go down with 80 Bounty, but you're not going to end up in this galaxy. But anyway, let's move on. Let's move forward because we've got ourselves age-ups that are going to be coming through very, very soon. Wheelbarrows come through for MarineLorD, and one of the things I want to ask is, do you think we will see the patented MarineLorD 3TC build order here in this matchup?
I would not be surprised. We talked about this in the pregame. The Song Dynasty 2TC play from the Chinese is so good. Unless MarineLorD keeps getting villager picks on the opposing side, he's going to fall behind in terms of eco. On the other hand, especially if B plays a very eco-focused game with 2TC Song Dynasty, the Rus 3TC build can work well, especially if you beat the Chinese to castle, because then you also have the power of the relics, possibly the sacred sites. That could definitely be an avenue that MarineLorD can go down on.
Yeah, I would be expecting that we will see that, but by the same token, perhaps B knows about that, so perhaps MarineLorD needs to be careful, and we do see it's going to be the Kremlin placed on the stone outcropping, indicating there is a likelihood that we are going to be seeing ourselves just a wee bit of town centers today, I would suspect. You did have the option to go for it. Take a look at the front of MarineLorD's base, down on that south side. There is an absolute banger of a Kremlin in there. He's got berries, he's got a hunt, he's also got a gold if you wanted to go for it. Just yeah, right there. Look at that. I mean, that's a Kremlin spot right there if you want to go for it, but he doesn't opt for it, instead opting for the stone. So we'll have to wait and see how he plays it out, but I suspect there's going to be town centers.
Now, speaking of gold, his gold situation is abysmal. You look at all those golds, every single one of them are exposed. Frankly, the safest one is to the north on top of that cliff, and I could see him moving up there, just walling off that little segment, because all the other golds that he has are extremely exposed. And don't forget, as much as B is anticipated to play into the 2TC Song build, Chinese can escalate their army extremely fast. They supervise their production buildings, and they can go from 0 Chukonus to 15 in a matter of seconds. So one of the things that MarineLorD will have to be cautious about is not to get caught off guard by a quick push that could deny the gold from him.
that's one of the things I'm going to be paying attention to is the build order that comes out from B. We can see that his Song Dynasty is a little bit delayed here if he's going for that standard opening. So I've got a suspicion that he might be looking for a second town center here. But have a look at the amount of sheep he's got down right there. Actually, hold on. 5 Vils moving up. This is a Barbican on the front on the gold. You don't move 5 Vils onto a Barbican that's this far away unless you're actually planning to put those 5 Vils on the gold, which means that there's a good chance that we've got ourselves a good old-fashioned Song Dynasty Zhuge rush.
You say that, but if you put all those villagers on gold, it wouldn't be completely surprising to see a fast castle here from B. Now, this is gonna be dicey because you got some militias coming in here from MarineLorD. He's trying to delay this Barbican with the scouts. Militias will take the path through the middle, though, and that means that the Barbican should go up there. On the other side, MarineLorD is going to focus very heavily on the eco upgrades. You see, he's not even playing into the 2 TCs right now, just double broad axe and, of course, the food upgrade.
Yeah, this is one of those consequences of having such great hunting cabins early on. He's got that passive gold being generated. He doesn't even need to worry about gaining or gathering the gold himself manually. He just does it all the good old-fashioned way through the hunting cabins, and he's got his upgrades.
Yep. Neither of the players will commit to a 2 TC build so far. Militias will arrive, but they probably have only a handful of seconds remaining on their life. They will get a couple of pokes in on the Imperial officers here. You gotta be cautious not to lose those if you are B. He's up to 3 of them already, and it looks like indeed they'll expire in about 10 seconds. Don't forget, folks, that timer is a little flawed, so... Oh! Villager might get picked here by the scouts.
Really well played there. You could see he was body blocking it, preventing it from coming in. So MarineLorD, well, beautiful micro, but B unfortunately loses that one villager. Now, you mentioned the prospect of going for a fast castle here. I mean, it's looking likely. He's got the barracks down already, which is always a good sign. But back home, MarineLorD's begun to work towards that second town center. We can see he's gathering up stone now. So no real surprises here. Still yet to pick up his 3rd eco upgrade in the feudal age, that specialized pick, but never mind. B is going for a second town center as well, but, well, not for long he's not going for a second town center, is he?
That's devastating. Just when he wanted to move out, the knight arrives. There is a single spearman from B over here. The militias have expired, but so much idle time is being forced by these knights.
Oh.
A second villager will not be picked. The rest of them will body block the knight. Talk about a great micro on B's side.
So clutch, that villager managing to survive. What beautiful timing there. And you can see B now finally getting through that wheelbarrow. We're at 7 minutes in. Often people think about the wheelbarrow as this greedy or economic technology. And yeah, it is. You know, you get that extra carry capacity, but you also get that extra villager movement speed. And that is huge when it comes to these sorts of fights. But look at this. Once again, attention being brought over to the stone mine. B is really having trouble getting this second town center timing up. MarineLorD is doing an absolute number on him.
Yeah, look at that. Second TC is up, and MarineLorD still has 100 stone in the bank. He could continue mining stone and work towards the 3rd TC, as you mentioned, which in combination with the fact that he managed to kill 2 Vils, managed to slow down B's second TC, could easily mean that he has a massive advantage in terms of eco come the next few minutes.
Yeah, I'm curious. Is he still collecting stone by the looks of it? I can see he's got 104 in the bank. There's a good chance he's going for that 3 TC build to match the Song Dynasty, or not just match, but surpass it. Militia now coming out. Villagers, he looked to try and drop off his resources. They just all ended up repairing the mining camp instead. Now getting caught out of position a little bit. You can see one of them out on a pretty low health, but he manages to keep them out so much. They got so much speed on them with that wheelbarrow upgrade.
MarineLorD knows fully well that B doesn't have enough stone. He can click the stone mine, see how much stone is there still. He knows that B needs to stay. Knight got picked off on the wood line. So much idle time on these villagers. Not any more kills, though, here for MarineLorD. He's up to 3 kills, which is as good as it gets, but this story is more about the idle time, not the villager kills.
Yeah, and now we see MarineLorD is indeed going for that 3rd town center. This is a classic build order from MarineLorD. We saw this a couple of weeks ago when it initially came out. So the idea is this. He wants to put on early aggression. And to do that, he has to make units. And to make units, it's going to cost resources. So you can't really make units and make TCs at the same time. So what he does is he makes units and gets his upgrades first. And then he goes for the town centers after. And it makes so much sense when you think about it, because he's delayed that town center from B for a long time now. And by the time that town center comes up for B, MarineLorD's going to be sitting safely on those 3 TCs, technically outscaling him, right? You're looking at 2.66 town centers for B versus the 3 town centers for MarineLorD. So he's outscaling him, and he's done damage in the early game. Beautifully played so far by MarineLorD.
Yeah, we talked about this in the bronze match. The return of investment on the eco upgrades is much quicker than it is on the second TC. So for MarineLorD, grabbing the eco upgrades at the beginning allows him to fuel that war machine, to really put up some pressure on B. And once he stops making units, he can quickly transition to 2 extra town centers and start escalating that eco. And you see, he is actually on par in terms of villagers with B. That's a huge accomplishment when you're up against a 2TC Song Dynasty build from the Chinese.
Yeah. It's you've got to be so careful that the Chinese don't get away from you. They get away really, really quickly when it comes to the economy. So fortunately, he's managed to delay that town center for quite a long time. If we look at a standard Chinese opening, you're looking at about a 6-minute 20 town center. That TC only came up just before 10 minutes. So he's managed to delay it almost 4 minutes. That's an incredible feat.
That's unreal. That's just unreal. And let's not forget that B was somewhat limited when it comes to the TC placements. He couldn't just break out of his base. This is an alright TC. It's close to the wood, it's close to the hunt. But it's... I'm not even saying I don't think there's any other places where he could have placed it that would have been great. But this is something to keep in mind in general with the approach that MarineLorD is taking. He's also limiting where his opponent can place his TC at.
Yeah. I'm curious to see whether B is going to look for any kind of aggression in the feudal age now that he's managed to stabilize. When we look at his resources, he's got a lot of food in the bank and not much of anything else. Unless he's moved a whole bunch of villages over to gold when I wasn't looking. Actually, he's got 400 gold a minute. Never mind. He's moved a whole bunch of villas over to gold when I wasn't looking. How many villas has he got on gold? Can we have a look? I would estimate probably like 10 villas on gold right now. Let's have a look. Yep, there it is. Okay, that explains things. He's going Castle Age. So what are you expecting out of Castle Age from B here?
Has to be Palace Guards. He knows that his second TC was delayed. He has scouted at least one additional TC from MarineLorD. He had a scout nearby like a minute ago. He also saw the stone mine just very recently, so he knows fully well that MarineLorD has mined a lot of stone, likely knows that MarineLorD is on 3 TCs. That combined with the fact that he was delayed on his own TC, in B's mind, his opponent likely has the eco lead. So what do? You'll play into a couple of Palace Guards, try to get some map control, try to get some picks. MarineLorD only has archers and a single knight to deal with that. So the first couple of Palace Guards will be immensely valuable here for B. And at the same time, you see he's trying to deny those walls. And once you have those Palace Guards going, I would say start working towards the relics. Maybe even the sacred sites, wall them off. I'm not going to say start the timer, because that's going to be tricky, but at least secure 1 or 2. Looks like MarineLorD is going to be on the way to Castle Age as well, though.
Yeah, we can see him already looking to control these relics, as you mentioned. So he's up here looking to prevent that, but MarineLorD not going to be rushing to get those relics. In fact, he's on the 3 TCs. It's not really much of an issue for him. But he's got an insane high trade house, so we're going to have to look to see what he does with that. Now, one of the other things to note is B had 26 villagers gathering gold. What the heck is he doing with all that gold? Can we go take a look and see whether he's still gathering up that gold? Because that will give a real good indication of what his plan is. Yeah, still, look at this. Still got 24 villagers on gold. What is he doing with all of this gold? I mean, he's getting upgrades through, but that's a lot of gold. Is he thinking about Nest of Bees? Yeah, that's the play. He's gone Nest of Bees.
Yeah, I love that. Don't forget, now with MarineLorD being in Castle Age, it means that MarineLorD can go for crossbows quickly. And it looks like there's not a single Palace Guard coming out just yet. It's just a couple of Chukanus, a couple of Spears, and B is playing into Lancers, actually.
Yeah, interesting decision. I guess that makes sense with all the villagers that are on gold. But B going to be holding on for the moment. MarineLorD starting to outscale him. We can see that villager count rising for both of these players. 69 versus 65 villagers. But still, as long as you're keeping up with each other, I think you're okay as long as you get to the late game. The Spearmen are going to move out. They've got their veterancy upgrade. The Lancers are here as well. This should be able to clean up this little attack. And I think MarineLorD will be heading back to reassess that situation. So I guess a big question I've got, let's say that these two guys make it to the Imperial Age. Who's got the advantage? Because normally you'd look at China and you'd say, well, China's a great civ in the late game. They've got the ability to run around the map. They've got really strong siege. But at the same time, the Rus have got one of the best upgrades that you can ask for in the late game. And that's the roller shutter triggers together with the banded arms, which increase the range of Springalds by that extra 0.5 range. And that can give them a lot of power in those late game scenarios.
Not just that, but the Streltsy as well. we have seen that in so many of these long games that lines of Streltsy supported by Springald is extremely difficult to break through. And when you look at this map, you have a limited amount of gold that's safe to work with. So I feel like a lot comes down to positional warfare, who is going to get a lot of relics, who's going to get the sacred sites, who has that foothold in the middle to deny the gold. But I feel like I like the Rus a little better in the current meta in terms of very late game possibilities or options.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see exactly how it goes down. The Chinese will be powerful as they head towards the late game with their Fire Lancers up against a civilization that may not have stone walls depending on the landmarks that they make. So we'll have to keep that in mind, but the villager count is still even Stevens here, 77 versus 79. Relics still in play at the moment. The first one has been picked up by MarineLorD. We can see it right now as he begins coming across the map, but runs into a couple of Lancers. Not the best situation to be a warrior monk.
Yeah, he won't even bother popping the Wololo. Crossbows are coming in, though. They might get a couple of picks out there as a retaliation. But you see, both of the players are preparing for a long game here, getting some positions secured. B is already moving out towards the gold mine in the middle, trying to get the relics as well. Those Lancers on the right side, they all got picked off, so that's really good value. That's 3 Lancers down the drain for B.
Yeah, MarineLorD just kind of, I wouldn't say throwing away villagers at the moment, but he's absolutely fine with it as long as he's able to clean up these Lancers. And we can see now, B tries to take away one of those relics, manages to get it a couple of pixels towards his own base. So expect to see another Monk coming out, and there's the other Monk now coming down to tap on that relic, and it looks like he will pick that one up on the top side. So it's all about relic control at this stage of the game. And a lot of people might look at the Chinese and think relics aren't that important for the Chinese. Well, it's not only that to think about. You're also denying the relic from your enemy, but the big thing is pagodas. Pagodas available in the Castle Age and can become more powerful than a relic in the Imperial Age, even with that upgrade for Tithe Barns.
That's a fair point, and it's more about the fact that you want to secure every little bit of advantage when you talk about a grand finals here. You don't want to fall into the scenario where it's very late game and a difference maker is you not having the relics and your opponent do. Nestop is kind of just chilling out there. Looks like he does not care about the crossbows. Will get picked off by the knights. That's some good value out there for MarineLorD. He's going to get it.
Oh my lord! Talk about a free B right there. That was a bit interesting. We got to witness a nest of bees just hanging out, having a good time, and forgot to do what he was told. Or maybe he did what he was told.
Oh, Trader's coming out here for B. He's definitely prepping for the long game, but MarineLorD's got some archer raids in here. That's some good value for some Feudal Age leftover units. We'll get a couple of picks in here. Lancers trying to clean this one up. Looks like the front lines are stabilizing. You see walls coming up for both players. I love that aggressive wall from B, though. He wants to secure the majority of the map control, and so far it's working well for him in the middle.
Yeah, I've got a feeling, I don't know why, I've just got this feeling that Fire Lancers are going to be coming out soon. I love the unit. I think it's a lot of fun. You know, they get nerfed in the next patch, so you want to try and utilize its effectiveness as much as you possibly can before it goes away forever. So we could look to see that here. If there's ever been a game for it, this is definitely the one, because it feels like there's a lot of avenues that you could be really focusing your enemy down. B just being relentless now with the Lancers, finding plenty of villager kills on the backline, but does get cleaned up eventually, and MarineLorD starting to pull ahead on that villager count, even though it's only by a very slight amount.
Yeah, MarineLorD is pulling ahead. He's actually 1 relic down compared to B. B's got the majority of the relics. No one has secured a sacred site just yet, however. Army numbers looking pretty close. Both of the players are kind of poking around right now, but you have that feel that this is getting closer and closer to one of those very long games, although some walls aren't finished yet for MarineLorD, so opportunities still exist for B to raid. Nest of Bees will just push away the villagers. MarineLorD quick to react before he loses 10.
This is, you know, we've seen Spearman raids before, but have you ever seen a Nest of B raid before? Because we're witnessing it right now. Unfortunately, you know, you don't have the same mobility that a Spearman's got with the Nest of B, so it does, unfortunately, lose its life in the end, but it did some decent damage.
I mean, you kind of explained why we don't see Nest of Bees raids frequently. You see Lancers being a little bit more useful in that regard. Getting quite a few picks here, and the villager count is now equalizing.
Yeah, these raids are pretty relentless, though. Like, B's doing a really good job of just being everywhere. He's on the top side, he's on the bottom side, he's raiding with Nest of Bees. It's getting a little bit scary out here for MarineLorD, but he's doing a really good job solidifying and keeping that defense. Nesta B's on the back line, though. The Knight's going to come in with a charge, but he hits off a pretty decent volley, manages to take out only a single crossbow. Looks like the second volley won't be coming up for him. Big loss there for B, throwing out a number or having a number of losses here throughout the day with these Bs. But now we'll continue rallying in units, and look at the advantage that MarineLorD's starting to build. Almost triple the military population of B.
He also popped the militias. I think he realized how good that fight was. He split up, Nest of Bees couldn't get a good volley in. Now he's got the crossbows. Second Nest of Bees getting some good value out there. But MarineLorD is now going pedal to the metal. Might try to snipe the Nest of Bees, but that's going to be dicey. Nest of Bees survives for the time being.
Firing off onto the back line, the crossbow starting to take damage, and the militia all die in the blink of an eye. His army evaporates before his eyes. MarineLorD, he's looking like he might be in a bit of trouble there. All the militia that he was relying on to be his eyes, to be his ears on the front line against this cavalry have gone the way of the dodo. Falls back towards the town center now, holding on a little bit longer. Now MarineLorD continues to build up. Population difference not particularly high between these two. Less than 10 between it. Tier 2 upgrade starting to come through now for B. He's looking to focus more on that eco. Now the first sprinkled for MarineLorD. He says we've got to deal with these Bs in a way that's a bit more cost effective. We can't just keep throwing all these knights at them. Definitely a wise call for him.
Yeah, but he secured 2 sacred sites to the north and he has them walled off. So this is where it gets interesting for MarineLorD. B will try to focus all the attention to the south, that last sacred site. And if he gets any kind of advantage over there, expect to see a keep being dropped. Now villagers will have to flee over here. Knights shifting towards the middle. That's the wrong way to go, actually. That's not going to be a safe place either for those vills, at least not for long.
Yeah, they're caught between two different walls, but it keeps them safe for the moment, and the Knights now are going to be cleaned up by the Lancers. Be in a bit of an interesting spot, because MarineLorD is still... I mean, he's just putting the pedal to the metal at this point. Have a look at the size of his army. He's going for the classic, bit of everything mix. He's got 11 horsemen, 15 crossbows, double digits on the Knights, the archers, everything right now he's getting into. One of the things to note is B is not walling up his base, and it's still open. And we can see MarineLorD looking to abuse that and exploit it right now. It's managing to clean up these raids, but it is causing a significant drop in attention at that front.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like MarineLorD was willing to sacrifice those Knights to use a diversion, pull the Knights of B to the north, and that allows MarineLorD to get those walls up. That's also going to be critical to protect that sacred site and prevent B from capturing it in the near future, starting that sacred site timer. But as you said, attention was drawn away from this front, thanks to those Knights, and now walls are complete. You see the resource bank rising for MarineLorD. He could start to flirt with the idea of Imperial Age at this point.
Yeah, this is definitely where you go, right? Like, you're sitting on maximum population, your eco's boomed up, you've got all these resources in the bank. What am I going to do with it? Well, I guess I got to go Imperial here. So MarineLorD's economy is pretty pumped at the moment. I mean, he's got those hunting cabins, he's only got 2 relics in the bag, but realistically, all that extra gold is coming through from the high trade house as well, so a lot of passive gold in the kitty for him. And now in the center of the map, he might be in a little bit of trouble, as the gold vein is threatened. Not much gold left in it, so smart move that he took this first. Often you look to see people taking the safe gold first, but B here in the middle of the map takes this one, says, well, if there's any gold that's going to be a little bit troublesome, it's going to be this one. So let's get this one done first, and there it is, the Spasskaya Tower. So not going in for the siege landmark, instead going to be going for the Spasskaya Tower.
It's critical, right? That unlocks the stone walls for the Rus, something that could be very valuable if this game goes very long and B opts to go for Fire Lancers. It will also secure that southern frontier, prevent B from contesting that sacred site, and allow MarineLorD to focus all his attention to the middle. Much needed attention, that is, because B is focusing here as well.
Yeah, this is a smart move from MarineLorD to do that. It really locks down the safety of the game. Like, sure, you can go into the siege landmark, but at the end of the day, I mean, you're still going to have roller shutter triggers ahead of your enemy if you get Imperial first. And now a huge fight beginning to unfold as the Lancer numbers are looking pretty decent for B. We've been calling him out and saying your army's looking a bit small, sure, but it's the expensive units. Look at the Lancers. They're just overwhelming the enemy of MarineLorD right now, and he heads back to the pavilion with his tail between his legs, trying to scrounge together some sort of defense. The Springles, the crossbows, the new age has begun, but he's going to need more than age ups if he wants to hold this attack.
Yeah, he's going to quickly switch into the Streltsy though. He needs those units out there. Streltsy with a front line of a couple of horsemen or spears, that will evaporate all these lancers and spears. B is going to need to answer that with a couple of nest of bees. And these walls, they come in clutch for MarineLorD. These walls prevent B from flooding him with those lancers and buy him the much needed time to get those Streltsy out.
Yeah, this is a great call. 13 Streltsy in queue at the moment for him. I'd love to see him move into spears, and 10 spears in queue for him as well. Perfectly timed right there. It needs to make sure he starts looking for upgrades. He's got the veteran spearman coming through as well. Roller shutter triggers. MarineLorD knows every single upgrade he needs to be getting right now. He is so good at this game. Oh, man, it's such a pleasure to watch MarineLorD. But look at the militia. The militia out onto the front line. Going to be looking to hold. He's got 15 of them out now. Trying to hold on for dear life. The Springalds on the back line. Still yet to get their roller shutter triggers in. He's outnumbered by B. Manages to take out more than Nest of B. Still looking to hold on the front line. But the Streltsy are out now. And watch out, ladies and gentlemen, because these guys, when they hold their ground, they are not letting you survive. These things are so much... They deal so much damage, Lidakor.
They do, but there is still a single nest of bees alive. It's going to push all those Streltsy back, and the casualties are massive on both sides. MarineLorD losing a lot of premium units out there. B, no desire to go up to Imperial. He just goes pedal to the metal. More spearmen, more lancers in the queue, looking to flood MarineLorD, and he's pushing him deeper and deeper inside his base. Is MarineLorD in trouble here, Aussie?
MarineLorD is definitely looking like he's teetering on the edge. But if there's anything I know about this guy, he knows when to greed and he knows when not to greed. And he's finished his greed for the day. And now, I mean, he's managed to stabilize, right? 180 population. It's looking pretty decent. The siege numbers are out. He's able to prevent any bees that come through here from, you know, doing too much damage. He's got the Springled out. I think he's held. And with that hold, B's in a tough spot because he's now going to have to defend this Imperial army that is barreling down the middle of the map against him. And where's he going to pull the resources to replace that army from if he tries to age up? So he's stuck in the castle age.
Yeah, that's a great point. He's now fighting suboptimal engagements against a better army, so he's losing more resources than he's destroying. And as long as that keeps happening, he won't have the resources to go into Imperial. But again, looks like he doesn't want to go into Imp. He just wants to, again, renew this assault into the enemy base. Streltsy numbers at 13 right now for MarineLorD. No more in queue, but MarineLorD is mining a lot of stone, getting closer and closer to being able to drop a castle here in the middle and slow this aggression down to a point where he can build up his Streltsy numbers.
He's got a lot of stone in the bank right now, but just doesn't have the APM. And it's crazy to think a guy like MarineLorD doesn't have the APM right now to throw down the keep, or just, I guess he just doesn't want to, right? You'd have to assume he's got the APM to do it. This guy's probably sitting on a cool 400 at the moment throughout the last minute or so. But he's managed to stabilize. He's got elite spears out now. Streltsy here. This is the late game dream combo for the Rus. Streltsy together with the spears, the Mangonel in the rear, just in case there's any archers or Jukunu that get an idea. And then he's got the Springalds to round it out to make sure that any of those bees are kept at bay.
Now looking to get towards Imperial over here. I'm actually wondering if he goes for the Great Wall Gatehouse in the middle. He's got no defense here. If he loses this army, MarineLorD can march straight into his base, and now MarineLorD outnumbers him 2-1 on the army department. He needs some sort of defense in the middle. If he wants to go Imperial, the Great Wall Gatehouse is definitely something he could consider. He's going to click in just a matter of seconds. MarineLorD looks like he's going to pull back though, which means B will get to Imperial in safety.
We can see up towards the north, there was a bit of a raid that was going on. It was fortunately defended well by that trebuchet. He was doing a good job, but we do indeed see stone walls coming up in the middle of the map now. One thing to remember, that the landmark he's about to build is a bit of an awkward one. When you build this landmark, ooh, nice little catch down here. B going to be losing Vils, that's for sure.
Yeah, but he's got no walls on the south. And that's the large gold mine he has. That's a big difference between these players. MarineLorD is walled everywhere. B isn't. So now his big gold is getting raided, and I think this landmark is going to be contested by MarineLorD as well.
Yeah, I don't think MarineLorD's going to get here in time, and you can see he's done the right thing. He's got villagers on both sides, and a whole bunch of archery rangers are getting thrown down here. Could we see elite Jukunu spam coming out right now? This could be what he needs to get back into this game. The only three he's really going to have are Mangonels. There's two on the field at the moment. Villagers deciding they're going to get themselves into a bit of a fight down there, going up against those horsemen. But it's finally here, baby. The nest of bees, they're locked, they're loaded. They've got 10 range, and they're stuck inside that Great Wall Gatehouse. Two of them. But he manages to hold down the middle with that. He says, there's no way you're getting through here. The villagers on the south, many of them stay alive despite taking lots of damage. And take a look at the score. less than 200 points between these two guys, and now we've got trade coming out, Lidakor. What is this game? They've already gone longer than the first series we watched today.
Indeed, and MarineLorD knows that if this game goes very long, it will come down to gold. Now, looking at the gold scenario, there is still some for MarineLorD to work with, and the large gold in the middle on his side is still completely intact. B has depleted the large gold in the middle on his side. He still has this one to the south, but that has been raided. So in the next, let's say 10 minutes or so, players will start running out of gold. And when you run out of gold, especially when you run a gold-heavy comp like heavy Streltsy play, you need that trade going. Love that MarineLorD is thinking ahead, and he's going to start working towards that trade while he's not being directly assaulted.
But take a look at what B's researching right now. The unique Chinese upgrade, it's got a couple of changes in the past. At the moment, it increases the range of hand cannoneers by 1.5 tiles, which you might not think is a lot. But I assure you, it really starts to stack up. When you throw these guys on top of walls, when you add in a Zhuku Nu as well to help them out and give them a little bit more attack speed, there's plenty of options for you. So you got to be really careful playing up against hand cannoneers like this, because they can outrange those Streltsy and definitely deal a fatal blow.
Oh, look at that. Beautiful volley from the nest of bees here. Streltsy diving deep, but a lot of them are heavily damaged. MarineLorD is pushing from two angles. He's hitting the south, he's hitting the north. Nest of bees will be picked off by the Springles before they get a volley out. They still get one. Streltsy taking heavy casualties.
Yeah, meanwhile on that south side, Spearman idling out the villagers on the gold. B sitting on 18 gold right now. He's market trading his way up to gold so he can get units out here. Hand cannoneer numbers are starting to rise, but he's still got lancers that are being made in the queue. He's in this difficult situation where he needs to get upgrades, but he also needs to make units. And when MarineLorD idles his gold like that, it just means he's got nothing that he can work with.
Indeed, and he just spent a bunch of gold on Yuan Dynasty. He went for the Imperial Academy. Now he's up to Yuan Dynasty, which unlocks Fire Lancers, but that's a unit that takes so much time to build up. You see, he's got none of them. And now he's floating 5,000 food. He's lacking gold because of all this harassment down south, whereas MarineLorD is just now, as you said, pedal to the metal, flooding infantry, mixing in some men-at-arms, securing the sacred site in the north as well with a castle, and just suffocating B from all angles.
And that's exactly it, right? And B's had so much time this game to get walls down, and it's only now that he's throwing them down. And it just feels like JoJo's hit single from 2004, it's too little too late. You know it's just too little too late. It's a good song. It's a good song. Can we talk about the farms that B's got right now? He's sitting on 81 farms.
Well, that will change very soon, I assure you.
3.6k food a minute. That is a lot of food. I mean, what are you doing with that food apart from stacking it up there and saving it for a hunger crisis? Not much.
Well, you turn them into hand cannoneers. He's up to 11 of them. He needs to clean this up, though. If he loses the farming eco, his eco is going to be way too feeble. And you see a lot of these farms are now idle. It was 3,600 food per minute just a moment ago, starting to fall. And if MarineLorD keeps up this pace of aggression, that food eco will disappear.
Yeah, you can see it. He's completely idled out now. Starting to drop down. He's below 3,000 food a minute. Watch out, ladies and gentlemen. This man will be hungry in the next hour or so. He's saved up plenty, but the numbers are starting to build up here. He's still sitting on 174 population, so he's doing all right, but the villagers have started to fall off. He's down to 116, and look, we got ourselves a little bit of a villager march. I got no idea where these guys are going. Actually, is it for that keep? It might be for that keep right now. Heading to secure that keep on the front. The Yuan Dynasty is here, and with the Yuan Dynasty, there is the Fire Lancer that has now arrived onto the field. With that, a real threat to siege. But speaking of siege, that Mango finding a decent shot onto the villagers. They've got their textiles through, so it'll take a little bit longer to get them down. Trebuchet continuing to work down that keep, and this is an absolute amazing first game. I can't believe the first game of the day for this matchup that we're seeing, and it is this action-packed. It's crazy.
You know what else is crazy? The fact that this is a best of 9. This is just game number 1 of possibly 9 games here, and the players are bringing us a spectacle. B, a bit on the back foot on the food eco. He's lost quite a lot, but he managed to get the castle up on the north. He's got that extra layer of protection. He's cleaning up the race to the south. New raid going into his eco with the horsemen. But as you said, he's building up those Fire Lancers. He's getting a lead. He's up to 8 of them, 7 more in queue. And those Fire Lancers, they can turn the tide of the game in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, you got to be so careful of the Fire Lancers. Often people will forget about them or underestimate them, and they just, as you mentioned, in the blink of an eye, it goes down very quickly. But another raid coming through into the base of B. The scores now starting to separate between these two players. 1,500, the difference at the moment. Elite Fire Lancers is coming through. And if ever there's been a sign that maybe there is a breath of life in the base of B, it is that Elite Fire Lancers are almost online. A unit that can take out an entire army in the blink of an eye. And we've got trade online. 143 gold coming through from MarineLorD's traders. Let's check in with the trade route and see exactly how many traders he's got at the moment. We only saw the beginnings of trade, but hold on. I guess we can think about that a bit later, Lidakor. We got ourselves a battle beginning to unfold.
Yeah, only 9 Spearmen out there for MarineLorD. That's a problem against the Fire Lancers. If those Spearmen are gone, the Fire Lancers will take great engagements against the Streltsy, against the Horsemen as well. And here come the Fire Lancers. The narrow choke point, Nest of B is also helping out. And this might be something that turns the tide of the battle. Because now, B's got some of these premium units out there. 21 Hand Cannoneers, a bunch of Fire Lancers to assist them with.
Slowly, China is coming online, baby. The classic Chinese army, the gunpowder army, as they like to call it. The hand cannoneers, the fire lancers. Expect to see bombards coming out soon. He's got the nest of bees on the field, and of course, in the middle of the map, we've got that great house. What's it called? The
Great Wall Gatehouse.
Great Wall Gatehouse. Thank you very much. The Great Wall Gatehouse. It always escapes me, that one. So B's going to have to try and deal with this this keep that's on the front. So I expect he moves into bombards. Stone walls coming up for MarineLorD. Wonderful to see.
He needs that against the Fire Lancers, especially because his army is very small now. Look at that. He's down to 26 army. He's got a bunch of men-at-arms and horsemen in queue. He's getting a lot of upgrades as well, but in this very moment, B's outnumbering him 2-1. And I don't know if he's got boiling oil on that keep. He does, apparently. It's going to make life a little bit more difficult for those units, but looks like B is committing even without bombards over there. He's going to have to be very cautious not to get massacred, though.
It's always a very dangerous task, right, what he's doing, right? Like, he doesn't have a bombard out to support this. If there was a single bombard, it would be a different story. But without the bombard, it really means he's lost a lot of units taking this out. That keep got incredible value.
It did. But B needed to take it out. Especially because that was the keep that kind of locked away the last Sacred Site. Also, that was the keep that secured the northern flank for MarineLorD. MarineLorD only has a layer of wooden walls on the north. So now, with 15 Fire Lancers, biology incoming as well for B, that's probably the angle from which he can harass MarineLorD the most.
Yeah, we can see stone walls now coming up on the south side. A little bit of an attempt by MarineLorD to try and make his way through. Gets caught out straight away. Really well played here by B to predict this and read this, and we can see those stone walls are going up, and it looks like it will be successful here. There's always the prospect of a chop through or two. Whether it actually happens, though, I tell you what, that would be some 900 IQ stuff. Could you imagine, 47 Fire Lancers running through the back of a chop through a stone wall? I can.
So do I. In fact, if you are B, you are contemplating it right now. It's an option that you can go for. But look at that. He's coming in with the Spirit Way. He's prepping for a long game. He's going up to Ming Dynasty now. He's going to unlock the Grenadiers that way. He's going to buff his Chu Canoes a lot. Now, he doesn't have any Chu Canoes right now, but if he wants to start going into those, they will be a lot more legitimate now that he has the Spirit Way up.
Please give me Grenadiers. Can you imagine that we get Grenadiers in the first game of a best of 9 between B and MarineLorD? Oh, God. Please. Please, B, make the Grenadiers, sir. I believe. I want to believe.
You gotta hope. If there is any person on the planet who will go for that, that's B.
He's got a lot of resources in the bank as well. Look at this. With the Ming Dynasty coming through now, he looks to get a whole bunch of upgrades. He's picking up elite army tactics, which indicates he's probably going to be sticking with spears and palace guards for the moment. The Fire Lancers are fully upgraded. He's got that beautiful mass of hand cannoneers, and he just deleted them. What did he just delete his... What did he delete? Some spears, I think. I just saw a whole bunch of units get deleted.
I would not be shocked if he deleted spears. He's strained on the population, and he doesn't want to spend his population cap on low-tier units. He wants Fire Lancers. He wants Hand Cannoneers. He's up to 26 Fire Lancers. He's getting to that level where he can just go and send in a wave, do a lot of eco damage. For now, he's playing defensive, but now he's pushing the north. I think that's where the Fire Lancers come online, and that's something that MarineLorD will have to respect.
Yeah, if these get behind enemy lines, MarineLorD's going to have to chase him around, and he's going to struggle to do it. These guys are very, very quick. We can see that B's just sitting with a couple of population points just available at the moment. Not going into anything. I think he's just making a couple of traders. Is that what he's... It might be traders that he's making behind this. That would make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
he did fix up that one from earlier. Yeah, okay, that makes perfect sense.
The thing is that when you're pop-capped, even if you queue up the traders, you will never get them out. That's the problem. And that's something that often happens, especially at lower level games. You queue up your traders, but you're always pop-capped, so you never get that trade online. B deliberately deleted a bunch of spears. You see he's got 0 military units in queue, which guarantees that he will get the traders out. Much needed traders, may I add, because he's about to run out of gold.
Yeah, this is a smart move by him to delete the spears. As you mentioned, right, if you're sitting on max pop and you're trying to make traders, it's not going to happen. And you need to make sure that if you enter this stalemate, that you've got that gold income. The spears aren't really going to do much in a stalemate, but I tell you what, these hand cannoneers lined up on the wall like that will. All sacred sites are held by MarineLorD, but I suspect it won't be for too long. The Mangonel firing off towards that massive cavalry. He just stands on the sacred site proudly like he's deserved to win it this entire time. Hand cannoneers looking to tee off. These guys have got so much range here, Lidakor, and you can see he's just holding this position. Can we check how much range these guys have got? I think it's 7.5 range. It's longer than a longbow.
It's a lot. You get the bonus from the tech that he has gotten before. He's getting the bonus from the walls as well. And yeah, indeed, 7.5. And they also do get a lot of damage reduction being on the walls. So even those mangonels are not that big of a threat to those hand cannoneers on top of those walls.
Yeah, this is this is getting good. Now, I want to point something out to you. You tell me what you think the odds are of this. 4,000 stone in the bank for MarineLorD. 5,000 wood, 13,000 food, and 2,500 gold, which I will add, he's got an income of 2,600 gold, so it is technically infinite. Is it going to happen? Will we see a wonderful game today?
Quite possibly. Now, the thing you have to respect here with the Wonder is that your opponent has Fire Lancers, so you need to be extremely cautious not to get that very expensive Wonder up and then have it sniped in 3 minutes by those Fire Lancers. So, key thing for MarineLorD is that if he opts to go for the Wonder, which seems likely right now, he needs multiple layers of stone walls surrounding it. Otherwise, it could be a very short-lived Wonder.
We've seen Wonders on this map before. There was an infamous game from Beastie as the French where he went for a Wonder and he planned for it from the second age. He had built his base perfectly to defend it, but now
he bought the stone. He bought the stone, Aussie. He's up to 5.5k.
It's happening. I feel like right now I've got my little memes out right now. Oh my lord, it's actually happening. A little bit of a breakthrough from B. I suspect B's probably just making more traders behind this. I wouldn't be surprised if he's got 10 markets sitting down on that trade post.
MarineLorD, he's pretty much pop-capped. He's got all the techs, by the way. Let's just... How good does that feel for MarineLorD? Fully teched up, you can see at the bottom, or top right, actually. Just so nice to look at.
I like that B doesn't have the ranged upgrade. Like, he just never even considered it. He's like, ah, look, I'm not making Chuganu. I'm not making Chuganu. You can't make me make Chuganu. I'm just not going to get the ranged upgrade. I don't need it.
More Fire Lancers coming in, though. MarineLorD is still low on gold. It's going to take some more time until he gets that Wonder going, and he needs to start considering these Fire Lancers as a real threat. So far, B has been very defensive with these guys, but now he's coming in wave after wave of Fire Lancers, and he's going to break through the middle as well, which means now he's got 2 angles to attack from. And he's prepping rams, look at that.
Yeah, this is dangerous, MarineLorD. If you want to play this game, sir, you're going to have to make some very bold... well, I mean, I don't even know how to frame it, really. Like, this is a very bold decision to go into a Wonder. But it's going to take time for him to get there. We can see at the moment his income sits at about 1,400 gold a minute, which isn't the most. But remember that it doesn't really tell you what his effective income is, because when you're trading, you only get that income displayed for a minute, but technically it's 3 minutes of income that's coming in the blink of an eye. So there's a good portion of that. So you can see he's going up to 2,300 income per minute, or 2,300 gold a minute right now, because he's just taken a big gold delivery.
The big risk you run here is that the Wonder is very expensive. And the moment you make it, you just spent a bunch of resources or something that cannot fight. And if B chooses that time to attack, you will be in trouble, especially when it comes to the gold. It looks like B is going to play this very aggressive, pushing in with the Fire Lancers. He's got the Hand Cannoneers on the back line as well. MarineLorD could be in trouble here if he opts to go for a Wonder right now.
And he can always look to undercut him as well with the Sacred Site attempt. You know, it takes 15 minutes for a Wonder victory, but a Sacred victory is only 10 minutes. So there's always that option as well. But look at the B firing off towards that infantry mass. The Streltsy starting to suffer. And B is holding it down the middle. But look at this. We've got ourselves a little bit of a rout coming through on this south side as more horsemen join the party and journey towards the enemy base.
Yeah, stone walls are intact for B, so these guys from MarineLorD, they won't be able to break through. They just stop these rams from pushing through the walls. MarineLorD, he's got the stone he needs, but he's low on gold. He has to add new Streltsy, and that's going to delay his work or his timing towards that Wonder. He's gonna get caught in between here, I feel. He could still squeeze that Wonder out, but it's getting difficult.
Yeah, this is where it's kind of awkward, right? Because there was an opportunity for him to do it maybe 10 minutes ago. But we don't really see that opportunity now because he's getting pushed from multiple sides. Rams on the south side, Firelance is going to be able to get in behind enemy lines. And now MarineLorD going to be really starting to suffer here as the Rams have broken through as well. He is taking him to the ranch. The Firelances have got their pointy sticks out and it is time for death, MarineLorD says B.
Yeah, MarineLorD's got a huge resource bank, but that's where buying all that stone with the gold you had is going to start stinging for MarineLorD. He spent a lot of his gold on getting the stone he needed for the Wonder, and now he's a little limited on gold, I guess. He's got 3,000 in the bank, but that can evaporate in a second if you have battles with this intensity.
Yeah, and we can see in the middle of the map all of the men-at-arms now coming out. He's going to manage to pick up plenty of siege that is out here. Now, I will just say, Lidakor, my lights are kind of like going on and off in my house, so I might black out any second. I don't know exactly what's happening or why that's happening, but oh my lord, that's 3 times in a row it's happened. Now I'm starting to get a bit worried.
I mean, even the ghosts in your house are just freaking out on how crazy this game is, especially with B pushing deeper and deeper with these Fire Lancers.
I'm still here. I'm watching around my room. I'm like, is it the house that's blacking out or is it me? Is it just the intensity from the game is so good?
It's so good. MarineLorD starting to stabilize though. He's up to 40 Streltsy and he's mixing in spears. That's the most important thing. When you have spears in front, they will brace against the charge of those Fire Lancers. Those will be the difference makers here for MarineLorD.
All right, well, the numbers building up. He's up to 81 population at the moment. So a pretty decent, or 81 military population, rather. He's sitting at max. He's dealing with these raids in his trade. Can we check on board with MarineLorD and see how many traders he's got going to his home market? I suspect he's probably up to around the 25, 30 number. But to me, that feels like the rookie number. Yeah, so 29 traders at the moment. I think he's got to start getting rid of villages, right? Like, you've got 16,000 food. That's fine. You can get rid of half of them and just start making more traders.
B will help with that. He's out there with the Fire Lancers and the Rams. He's going to help getting those villager counts down. DC will be gone as well. Now, this is problematic for MarineLorD. Look at that. All the production, or at least a lot of it, is right here in this flank. If he loses all these production buildings, he may struggle to put those resources onto the field.
Yeah, that's a good call. And something you've got to be really careful of as these Rams come through. And now those Fire Lancers, I mean, B is playing out of his mind in this late game. This is what we expected to see. We just saw siege engineering coming through for B, so could be looking to get some battering rams out on the field inside the enemy base. Hand cannoneer numbers are rising as well. He's up to 14 at the moment, but look at that. 50 Fire Lancers in queue right now for B. Does he sense that MarineLorD is up against the wall now?
Possibly. He's also going heavy on the Rams. He's got 10 battering rams working away right now. He's losing those very rapidly, but at this point, he's willing to trade those Rams for the production buildings of MarineLorD. Though B is going to have to address this eco/military balance a little, because you see he's pop capped, but he only has 36 units on the field right now. Or at least army, that is.
Yeah, it's wild because 20 population of it is siege. Yep. Remember, he's got a whole bunch of it that is battering rams. He's got the 3 nest of bees. He's got... Wow, take a look at that. Up to 39 traders here. Was that... How much gold did he have in that in tax? Can we take a look and see? Was that 1,200 or 12,000? I didn't... I saw a 12 at the beginning, and I saw a lot of numbers. Let's have a look. 1,200 gold. Yeah, so that's where you got to come and build a town center down here and just get that Imperial official collecting.
Nest of Bees coming in clutch over here. No hand cannoneers to help against the spears, though. Nest of Bees will likely get cleaned up. But look at that. At all angles of this map, now B is pushing. A ram push coming in on the middle. There are 2 bombards moving up as well, and he's got 70 Fire Lancers in queue, Aussie.
look, I'm not good with numbers, but I can tell you right now, when you're talking Fire Lancers, 70, in fact, make it 80, 82 Fire Lancers in queue, that's bordering on a lot. That's a lot. That's a lot of units that he's got out right now, and he's got no shortage of production as well. You got to remember, behind this, he's got probably close to 30 stables just pumping these bad boys out on repeat. The keep goes down. Am I sensing a B victory right now? MarineLorD has got so many resources in the bank, but the Madman is not getting rid of villagers, and he's barely holding these attacks.
MarineLorD has the resources for the Wonder. I don't know if he wants to go for it under so much pressure, but if he feels like he cannot turn this around, he might need to just go for a Hail Mary, drop the Wonder, and hope that he can hold it.
At this point, I mean, MarineLorD's just getting raided from every single angle. Even if he drops the Wonder, my fear is that, sure, the Wonder, it's got 15 minutes on it, but he'll die before then. 15 minutes is a really long time, and the forward keep now coming up for B on this south side. He is playing out of his absolute mind. It might just be true that B is really the kryptonite for MarineLorD.
Oh my goodness, a lot of traders getting picked here as well. MarineLorD losing a lot of precious gold income. And don't forget, these rams have been taking down production building after production building, and the moment the ram gets destroyed, they are replaced by a bunch of Fire Lancers. B is now up to 34 of those with 85 in queue.
B now, look at the numbers. It's absolutely ludicrous. The keep going to come up. More Fire Lancers running back towards his top side. If he takes out that market in the north corner, that ruins MarineLorD's income for a substantial amount of time. Now, granted, he's got 9,000 gold in the bank, and it's climbing, but still, it's going to put a spanner in the works for his game plans, yeah.
He needs to stabilize. He needs to get some walls going, and once he's stabilized, he can drop the Wonder immediately, but he cannot afford to do it right now. It's going to be challenging to catch all these Fire Lancers, though. His army is so slow, so static. Spearmen, Streltsy, but when you look at these Fire Lancers just running circles around the enemy base, sniping villagers, sniping buildings, it's so difficult for MarineLorD to stabilize here.
Well, it looks like he's stabilized in the middle for the moment. He's got a little bit of a problem there as B puts up a wall in between his existing walls. Now down towards the south side, the next front begins to battle. Focusing the landmarks, ladies and gentlemen. One is already down. The Spasskaya Tower went the way of the Dodo at 50 minutes into the game. At 51 minutes, though, it looks like the next one's going to become the target. We may have ourselves a wonder, or rather a wonder victory, a landmark victory coming through as number 2 goes down to MarineLorD begs, please don't take my landmarks.
He's about to lose the monastery as well, which means that he could lose all the relics that he still has. Now some Springbolts coming out for MarineLorD will snipe the rams, but he's losing so much ground. And B is just crawling forward. He's got Bombard Towers now coming in. MarineLorD has to spend the stone he bought for the Wonder on defensive keeps in his trade line, but he still keeps losing traders, and B is just closing in on him, slowly creeping up, now takes down the Wonder, and you see MarineLorD is repairing the landmark. He knows that the landmark is now a concern for him.
Was the Wonder a trap? Think about it. MarineLorD was anchoring to this Wonder for so long. He said, I need the 6,000 stone in the bank. I can't make stone walls. I need that stone for the Wonder. I can't make keeps. I need that stone for the Wonder. And now all of a sudden, he's in this position where had he just made stone walls 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, he would have been fine. But instead, he's kept it in the bank, and now those landmarks are under threat. This is his main town center.
And the Kremlin is right next to it. I feel like this might be over. MarineLorD is down to 94 vills. He's got a lot of resources, but don't forget, he lost the production buildings. He cannot get to 200 pop. He's at 180. He's losing units faster than he can replace them. And B's got insane momentum now, inching closer and closer to taking down this third landmark out here.
B is absolutely looking like a maniac today. This is incredible stuff that we're seeing up against the world #1, the favorite coming into this tournament, MarineLorD. Not the, I guess you could say, not the world champ. Obviously, Beastie was holding on to that title, but definitely someone considered to be the top player. And now B comes in and says, hey, mate, sorry about those plans. I've got a game to win, my friend.
Oh, MarineLorD is floating so many resources, but he's depleting his food bank rapidly. He's down to 800 food per minute. He's making very food-heavy units. Streltsy, Spearman. I don't know how long this is sustainable for MarineLorD at this point.
I mean, if you were wondering how long it's sustainable for B, I can tell you right now he's got 43 more Fire Lancers in the queue. Yeah, MarineLorD is holding on for dear life, though. It is... Yeah, he's got 2 landmarks.
Look at the Kremlin. The DC is down. The Kremlin is being rammed down.
Oh my lord, look at the size of MarineLorD's army. Very well pointed out there by Vodka. 111 military on the field at the moment for him. Kremlin stays alive, and B somehow is stopped. For the moment. For the moment, as we're 54 minutes into this game, and B, he's just gearing up. You know, he was in the 4th gear. Now he's in the 5th gear at this point.
Now, don't forget, MarineLorD bought stone. He just bought 1,500 stone. If he wants to go for a wonder, it's possible now. The pressure is gone. He's got twice the army as B. I think the time has come, Aussie.
All right, let's see if he can do it. If he's got any troubles with repairing, I can tell you right now, insufficient wood, it's a thing of the past. This guy, he's been responding to those advertisements in his email. He has got plenty of wood, almost 20,000 of it. All right, hand cannoneers, or the Strelts, he's looking to burn through those fire lances, but they are just focused right now on the landmark. Look at him go. He says, you want a landmark victory? Let's do it. We're going in, baby.
A lot of fire lancers are being picked here, Aussie, and it's not like the resource bank is spectacular for B. He's losing a lot of these expensive units out there. Sure enough, he's doing some eco damage, but is it really eco damage when your opponent still has thousands of resources banked up?
Not really. It's not really, no. It's kind of wild, isn't it? In fact, you're kind of helping them out because he just puts it in the military instead. But he does the run by. It looks like the high trade house was repaired up, but this is an easy one to take down. I'm not fussed about this. He's got an easy avenue to attack this. You bring 50 fire lancers in here, it's just it's a good game moment right there.
So many fire lancers getting picked. Even the militias were levied into this battle. A lot of bombard towers coming in here for MarineLorD as well. He's stabilizing Aussie, and you see B starting to run out of juice. Fire Lancers now down to 20, no more in queue. He's starting to mix in Grenadiers. Oh man, I mean, even if B loses this game, he has brought out the entire palette of units available to Chinese at this point.
Except for the Juggernaut. Actually, I think we may have seen some a little bit earlier. I take it back. But yeah, it's been insane, hasn't it? I mean, we have just been treated in this first game right now as MarineLorD still holds on for dear life here. He's actually dipped down in the food. Have a look at that. He's going to need to start adding villages to farms, which is something that you rarely get to say in the late game.
Oh, that's just ludicrous. Okay, his trade is secure. Population looking a little battered for both players, actually. MarineLorD at 165, B at 180. Neither of the players are pop-capped right now. One thing that's still concerning for MarineLorD is that he is not stonewalled at any side, actually. He's not stonewalled on the north, neither is he in the middle or the south. So these Fire Lancers can approach from any angle at this point. But would you look at that, Sacred Sites now coming in for B, which means that a Wonder would do no good for MarineLorD right now.
Yeah, I guess there's a question. The question in my mind is that really a genuine attempt, or is he just looking to try and, you know, put on a little bit of pressure, maybe force a bad fight somewhere, or even just gather those resources up? Because you can see the amount of units he's got here is incredible. He's going to look to try and dive onto that Sacred Site. Keep in mind, there's boiling oil together with the bombard tower or the cannon emplacement that will be able to take this down. Battering rams working their magic, but the infantry number starting to fall for B. Is down to 160 population at the moment. Perhaps all the gas from the tank has been drained. This guy's gonna need assistance out here, my friend.
Yeah, his food isn't looking spectacular. He's got a lot of food, a lot of gold, but not a lot of wood to work with. Makes it difficult to mix in those siege engines. And his Fire Lancer numbers aren't spectacular either. MarineLorD will decap this Sacred Site, but he has depleted his food bank. So again, a Wonder is no longer a reality, but he secures the Sacred Site, and he has a chance to repair the Spasskaya Tower now.
Yeah, if the Spasskaya Tower comes back up. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you lose the ability to make stone walls when you lose your Spasskaya Tower. It's only once you've repaired it back up that you will regain that ability. Or am I mistaken?
I honestly do not know. Usually when I lose my Spasskaya Tower, I just die 20 seconds after. So I've never gotten to the point of testing this.
All right, well, perhaps somebody in Twitch chat will know. Those guys know a lot of things. They're kind of like Redditors in that regard. Any questions you've got, they've got the correct answer for you. But we do see the Sacred Site has been neutralized by a couple of rams on that south side. And now the next round of Fire Lancers begin to approach the south side of MarineLorD's base.
Spears out there. Grenadiers now coming in large quantities. And you see MarineLorD has to add new farms. You mentioned this before. His food eco took a big beating. Now has to recover, frankly.
All right, well, the hand cannoneers on the back line looking to tee off towards all of these units. He's outnumbered by a huge amount as he begins to retreat back towards those stone walls. Remember, if he can get up on those stone walls, he's going to have himself a great time, but he might not even need to as the nest of bees fires down on the back line. Look at the Streltsy looking to try and tee off on that front, but just having so much trouble as they stutter step in and out against that nest of bees, but he's going to move forward. The Streltsy up against one of the strongest hand cannoneers in the game, and the Fire Lancers make their way to the front to help out, but B is in trouble. He is falling down on this front, and Lidakor, is there anywhere for him to go after this?
He still has a huge gold bank, huge food bank. He needs more units on the field, though. He's trickling in the Fire Lancers. Grenadiers making an appearance as well. He still has those stone walls to take over for some extra defense. And it looks like now with the Springbolts moving in, siege weapons will be removed from the playing field as well. MarineLorD is taking better and better engagements. And you see at the bottom left, MarineLorD has destroyed so much more resources worth of army than B did. The efficiency is starting to swing in the favor of MarineLorD more and more.
Yeah, this is very true. But there is one difference that may be made here today. The Grenadier. I want to say Grenadier the same way they say Hercules, Hercules. I want to say Grenadier, Grenadier. Like, I just love this unit so much. It's so impactful when it hits the field. And even at the moment, like in the current patch, the Grenadier is not that impressive, but it's still, like, I don't want to say it, but it F-words. It really destroys front lines. And we can see right now as he's going to begin to unpack upon all these spearmen right now. Just look at the AoE damage coming in. Good night, sweet princes. Have a great sleep. They get that extra attack speed damage as well. He obliterates through that. Not a whole lot of range on these units, though. He looks to move right up to them. You can see the Streltsy trying to back out. Spaskayatower still not yet through. The Grenadiers watch him. A little bit of a split coming through, looking like a gymnast on this north side, MarineLorD is. But he holds on a little bit longer.
MarineLorD saving those Springbolts came in clutch. Fire Lancers tried to snipe them, and those Springbolts are so fragile against the Fire Lancers. But MarineLorD with the body blocks, he saves the Springbolts, sniped the nest of bees, made sure that those Streltsy can stay alive. And with the staggered formation, it's difficult for those Grenadiers to close the distance and do a lot of damage on those Streltsy. Now Mangonel is being mixed in as a response to those Grenadiers again. And MarineLorD's food eco is back on track. Watch the resources grow. He's pop-capped, he's climbing in terms of food. Once again, a wonder becomes a reality.
This is getting wild. I mean, we've been here for more than an hour. You could have played 2 Beastie versus Lucifron third place entire series in this time. Will we get a third potential series in that time that we could have watched? I mean, the way that this game is going, there is no clear winner at this point. B has got a point lead of about 2,500, whereas MarineLorD's got a pretty decent resource lead. But I mean, B's stacking up gold as well, so I don't see that there's any way that there is a stalemate that is somehow going to get broken here, short of a wonder.
Oh, MarineLorD lacking the stone wall still hurts so badly. Now the Fire Lancers will open up on the northern side, and you mentioned this. If this market is gone, it means that B will just shut down MarineLorD's trade. MarineLorD has the resources for the wonder. Let's see if he pulls the trigger on this.
All right, well, the Fire Lancers make their way towards that back line now, rounding the corner. I'm curious as to whether he looks to focus down that market in the north. If he hits that, he'll be feeling good about himself. He might stop the trade for about 30 seconds. But it won't be particularly long, and I think he might be going for it here. This definitely makes a lot of sense, because instead of going for the traders, you're actually kind of cutting them off at the knee instead of at the head. So it makes sense. Wait, there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. I'm like, hold on, MarineLorD can't make another landmark. Ladies and gentlemen, that is no landmark. That is something wonderful. At 63 minutes into this game, MarineLorD finally does it. Are you not entertained?
Love the timing of this as well. Just when he's stabilized, but he still has an intact resource bank. He's actually out of wood income. So he's got 7,000 stacked, but basically no income in terms of wood. But it's not like he spent every single bit of resource he had on this. He's got some juice left in the tank, and it will be needed because now B is going to turn on the pressure on the south.
Yeah, we can see he's got 41 Fire Lancers in queue. He'll be looking to reinforce this front line. Expect to see a couple villagers deleted here. Probably even a couple of traders deleted here, maybe. He's got more than enough gold to last him for a minute or two, I suspect. He'll be putting on the pressure, and you can see the Cathedral of the Tsar right now. Only the 15 villagers on it, so he's taking his time with it, and there's a good chance. I mean, probably not a good chance, but if MarineLorD gets pushed too hard, he may consider getting rid of it. I mean, he's found a decent timing here, but he's only got 2,000 food, which isn't a lot.
Yeah, at least he's got food income, though. He's got 3,000 per minute. Wood is more worrisome. He's depleted the forest at the back, and he doesn't really control the forest to the north or the south. He's going to be fine for a time being, but he needs to be cautious in that regard. Did he stop building it? I think he did stop it.
It's being built by 15 villagers, which in Wonder Times is about half a villager. This thing, it takes its time to come up.
He had to delete some markets as well, just to get... Let's talk about that later, because we got some happenings over here. Once again, 2 landmarks are down, and don't forget, landmark victory is once again a reality for B.
Can we check in on this southeastern wood line? I saw a whole bunch of B villagers cutting behind the lines. Does he still have a bit of a cutout going down there? I know that we've got a fight happening. Yeah, look at this. And he very intentionally stops cutting before he gets too close towards that stone wall. Doesn't want to let his enemy know that he's there. This could come into play in the second hour of the game.
Yeah, the Fire Lancers, they can snap the Wonder very fast. So this is why it's crucial for MarineLorD to get those stone walls going. I think he just finished with the stone walls. B is going to probe this. He needs to see what's defending this right now. Both of these players have played an Outback Octagon, Aussie. You do remember them. And they know how to deal with these Wonders. First thing to know, what exactly is defending that Wonder. That's why he's sending in those Fire Lancers.
Yeah, he's got to get a little bit of intel about it. But now towards that south side of the map, a continued battleground throughout this game. We start to see the push coming out from MarineLorD. The Fire Lancers looking to try and clear out those Springolds. And once the Springolds are dead, you're going to be able to hit that front line with your bees. Now that keep is
undercutting. Aussie, he's going to undercut the Wonder timing with the Sacred Sites.
Is he going for it?
Yes.
I'm waiting. There it is. Enemy is approaching Sacred Site, 9 minutes and 55 seconds. You've got multiple win conditions happening right now. B has taken out 2 landmarks with 2 to go. MarineLorD is going for a Wonder victory with 13 minutes and 37 seconds remaining. You couldn't ask for a better number, maybe 4 minutes and 20 seconds or 69 seconds, one of the two. And then finally B with a sacred victory approaching, 9 minutes and 33 seconds to go.
The critical thing to understand...
Game?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to ask, what is this game? This is just ludicrous.
It's unreal. MarineLorD lost a lot of traders as well. Now, critical thing to understand is that you can slow down that Sacred Site timer. We have seen that again and again. You send in 1 unit, it's going to pause the timer, and you see MarineLorD is sending in a bunch of villagers. He's going to start decapping the Sacred Site, and it pauses the timer immediately.
This is important, because if he delays it enough, he will eventually undercut the Sacred Site. But you can see he's struggling in the middle. This keep is holding it down. The Fire Lancers, they'll be able to siege down this wall. It's got 39 health on it, and it's under construction, which means that all they need to do is right-click on it, and he'll be straight through onto that other side. There we go. Immediately through, and now breaks in. We'll look to try and force these units off the Sacred Site, but he's going to continue rallying in the units. He wants to try and stall it out as much as possible.
He needs to stall for 3 more minutes, though. That's a long, long time for MarineLorD. He's getting pushed back in the south as well. MarineLorD depleted his wood bank. He's got 10 Springolds in Q anti-siege, but that's pretty much it. And it looks like he won't be able to stall the Sacred Site in the middle any longer. Oh, what happened?
No, he's still... Wait, what?
Where did it go?
Where did it get neutralized? Oh, the north Sacred Site got neutralized by just a couple of villagers minding their own business. A keep too far away from a Sacred Site, not able to defend it.
Oh my lord. Talk about clutch for MarineLorD.
He needs to go again. He needs to go again. If he wants a chance to win it, he needs to throw a keep up there and needs to just immediately get that done again.
Oh, it's gonna be so close, though. It's gonna take some time until you get a Monk out there. He does have a single Monk. I feel like it's more legitimate now for B to try and push this Wonder, though, because he's getting close to those Palisades. And MarineLorD is getting repelled.
There's a lot of Nested Bees back here. B really looking to try and put on the heat now. Hand cannoneer numbers have risen. He's got a decent number, 37 of them out, and you can see those bombards trying to tee off. At the same time, the mangonels from the top side. Watch out, ladies and gentlemen. It's Randy Orton. I can see him coming. I can hear him coming. And the boom hits the back line. All the hand cannoneers dropping to the floor with the RKO. Absolutely massive damage right there.
But the production buildings, they're exposed, and the bombards are just massacring at this point. taking down the production buildings. Beautiful volley from the nest of bees as well. And MarineLorD doesn't have a lot of wood to rebuild this infrastructure with. B is gaining more and more ground. And don't forget, he could also opt to go for the landmark victory. He's getting a capture on the sacred site on the north. It's 10-38 on the Wonder, and he's once again going to try to undercut it.
He's trying his best. Look at this. You've got 10 minutes and 33 seconds on the Wonder. The final villager goes down. Hold on. Is there a Monk on that sacred site? Did the Monk die? I think that... No, he got it! He got it! 9 minutes and 58 seconds! He's got 30 seconds on it. As long as he keeps a unit on every sacred site, you can't stall it out. That's going to be really key here. He needs to hold a unit on the sacred site so that if MarineLorD tries to challenge, it won't stop the timer from coming down. He manages to get the undercut twice in this game as we leave the 69th minute.
Oh my goodness, Aussie. It's gonna be challenging to hold all 3 sacred sites. MarineLorD needs to just stall it for 15 seconds, and he's gonna be in a great position, but boy oh boy, will that be difficult. Actually, he's sending in units out there, Aussie. He's going to start decapping it. That's gonna get close.
I think this is it, right? Like, if MarineLorD holds this, and he is doing it, you can see that timer approaching. Wonder victory, it's at 9:38. If he holds it for just a few more seconds, that's going to be it. MarineLorD, he's undercut the sacred victory. The power right there of the Wonder is that you cannot stop it unless you kill it, or you kill the landmark.
And now, you see, MarineLorD doesn't even bother completely decapping it. He just gets what he needs and then reassembles to the south because he now knows that the only win condition that B has is destroying that Wonder or getting rid of the landmarks. It's actually very easy to chop through here on the east, by the way, so this is something to keep an eye out on. B could try to just get through that little layer of either the palisade wall or just the forest itself, and then try to make his way towards the trade, the villagers, and it's only a single layer of stone walls protecting that Wonder.
I'm gonna say something right now. I really hope that we see it, because if there's ever been a time to do it, this is now. B needs to delete all the villagers. You've got 8 minutes and 43 seconds left. That's plenty of time. Delete them. Let's build an army of Fire Lancers. He's got 15 in the queue. Those are rookie numbers, B. I know you can get those up, so I reckon, you know, slowly taper it off. Start by deleting the traders and go for the wood villagers, and then start deleting those food villagers and fill out that big army of Fire Lancers and go straight for those landmarks. But boy, oh boy, is this a battle. Is this a game for the ages or what, Lidakor?
I mean, spectacular. This single game is just so historical. And this is just the first game of this best of 9. Nest of B still working wonders over here. Now getting sniped by the spears. B is gonna get repelled by MarineLorD. 8 minutes remaining on that timer. Bombard will be called back, but I think the spearman might catch it.
126 vills still for B at this point in time. He needs to throw down more production, I suspect. You can see his base is absolutely sprawling on the back line, and now more units going to be coming out towards the front. Streltsy looking to deal damage here, but run into that issue with the keep. This keep is preventing 2 separate wonders or separate landmarks from coming back up. A little bit of a breakthrough on that top side. I think he's trying to scout whether he can still get behind here, and indeed he can. This is going to give him an avenue for attack. Let's look to see what his reaction is. Yeah, there it is. There it is. B with 25 battering rams in queue right now. If there's ever been a time to strike, this is it. 20 battering rams in the back of the showers at the ranch. It is happening.
Yeah, he's getting a little desperate over here. That's all about just getting that Wonder down. Streltsy, they won't do very well against the Rams, especially not against that many. Neither will the Spearmen. So there is a good chance that 25 Rams, with some Fire Lancer and hand cannoneer escort, they could make it to the Wonder. Clock is ticking. There is still 7 minutes left to go. Traders have been picked off from MarineLorD. And MarineLorD doesn't have a lot of wood. That means that if he gets his castles contested by the Rams, he cannot repair for long. He will struggle to repair landmarks if B wants to go for that. Options are still available for B. This is far from over.
I think B is actually making a really smart play here. I know that he wouldn't be forgetting about something like this. You want to fake going for the Wonder. And when you're going for the Wonder, MarineLorD's setting up over there on that east side, that little corner, that little pocket. He switches gears and hits those 2 landmarks that are sitting right on that top side of the base, so exposed. You've got the mobility of the Fire Lancer and the power of the Ram. Can he find it? That's going to be the question. And the hand cannoneers, look at them just smacking out all of those spears on the front line. What a beautiful fight we get to witness here, Lidakor. I'm loving this game so much. I can't believe it. We're only in the first game. This is a best of 9.
Unreal. Buildings being taken down now by the Rams. You see the hand cannoneers and the Streltsy just focus each other, which means that the Rams just stomp the buildings. Springolds got sniped down by the clock tower bombards. Military population not looking shiny for B, but he's still pop-capped. He still has 17 Rams on the field, 13 more in queue. More Fire Lancers are coming in. A lot of production buildings are gone for MarineLorD. Rams getting closer and closer to that starting TC.
5 minutes until that Wonder victory approaches. Villagers on the south side here just minding each other's own business. Hey, you chop your trees, I'll chop mine. We'll all be friends. It'll be just fine. But not for long, as B says, uh-oh, you're going to have to leave there, my friend. All right, well, the numbers continue to build. B sitting on 135 villagers at the moment. Needs to get rid of those. Come on, B. I believe it will happen. Can we check how many tickets he's got in that Kremlin? If MarineLorD needs to call upon a hero, how many tickets does the man have?
A lot. He hasn't called malicious for a while. 5 minutes left on the timer. He's got 39 tickets to work with.
39 tickets? Are you serious? I'll do some quick math for you guys. That will take 39 minutes to save up that many tickets. That's a lot of minutes.
And that's a lot of malicious, Aussie.
Oh my lord, that is absolute crazy numbers. But look at the Rams just ignoring everything, walking past the front and saying, I'm going straight to the showers. I'll see you guys later. And back they go. Whether anybody's going to go out to meet them, that's another question for the ages. You can see the Springolds moving forward, trying to find that bombard. They managed to. And now connecting on the back line. The Fire Lancers look to try and take them out. He's got beautiful runarounds happening right now. How in the world is this happening right now? This is ludicrous.
MarineLorD is losing production buildings and he's out of wood, which means that he will struggle to put those resources on the field. He's not going to be able to replace all this infrastructure, and down south B is chopping through. This could just be a diversion because B is getting closer and closer to opening a new frontier.
3 minutes and 43 seconds remain until Wonder victory is upon us. It's still plenty of time in my book to go for something sneaky if you're feeling it. Can we check in on the base of B as a huge raft of units are now looking out towards that top side? Look at the sacred site on the north. A bunch of units are now breaking out there. I think this might be it. He's going out towards that angle, at the same time running in towards the south. This could be the bait and switch. It's villagers. He's going for a huge stone wall. What in the world is he doing with stone walls up there?
I think he wants to... Remember, he's got the Sacred Site victory at 3 minutes 30 seconds. If he destroys the Wonder, he will basically win the game.
Lidakor, at this point, I don't even want to commentate. You take over. I'm just going to watch. I need to know what happens right now. This is insane.
Oh, my lord. He bumps into the stone walls. He needs Rams to get through that. He's down to 9 Rams. He cannot contest the town center. He's now switching focus towards the Wonder. His only hope is destroying the Wonder and then winning through Sacred Sites. He's getting some siege workshops going on the right flank. Needs Rams produced right here, right now. But it's getting difficult because MarineLorD is still holding. Now MarineLorD's got wood as well. He can continue to add Springolds. He still is at 200 population. And B is running out of juice. Only 150 population remains.
He's trying his hardest to get through there, but all of the wood has run out. He's down to 600 wood. All of the Rams have been taken out. It's just been a slogfest here. Now, keep in mind, there's still 2 landmarks that are down. That means only 2 landmarks remain. Both of those landmarks are on the north side of the base. This is a massive win opportunity that B is not seeing at this point. We've got 2 minutes remaining until the victory happens for MarineLorD.
Oh, but the Rams...
those gongs going down.
If the Stonewall goes down, the Fire Lancers can snipe this.
And with that, if he can get him behind here, then the sacred victory happens.
Yes! It's so close! This could come down to a matter of a couple of seconds.
The battering rams, look, this battering, wait, excuse me, battering rams, where are you guys going? There was an appointment, I'm not sure if you guys saw it, but it was with the Wonder. It was in 2 minutes. Come on.
The MarineLorD blocked them with the traders. How clutch is that? He blocks the Rams from the gate with the traders, and that's what salvages that stone wall. Once again, B is unable to get close enough to that Wonder.
But weren't they hitting the stone wall? How did it stop? But look at the Fire Lancer numbers now building up. I don't know whether he's going to be going for this Wonder or not. Let's look to see whether he realizes that he can focus. He just kill the landmarks, B, please. There's a minute left. Stop beating around the bush, son. Get in there.
That single layer of Stonewall is accomplishing so much for MarineLorD. Rams cannot get close. I think it's too late for the landmarks now. The only hope for B is going for the Wonder, but he only has 2 Rams left. He's got 2 more Bombards coming up. That's all he has, but it's only a minute remaining. I don't see it, Aussie. I think MarineLorD will hold.
I think you might be right. There's just not enough units. B down to 154 population. He's got Bombards on the outside, but MarineLorD's defense has been incredible. B, a little bit of a lack of attention towards those final landmarks. It could have been the difference here, but unfortunately doesn't see it with 23 seconds left on that Wonder victory. And only we got 20 seconds on the Sacred victory. I think we have ourselves a good game, and after 80 minutes of non-stop action, a close will be called upon the first game in your grand finals of the Elite Classic. One of the greatest games in EGC TV history goes down to the wire, and it is MarineLorD with the victory.
What a game did we just witness. Absolute stellar play from both sides, a nail-biter to the end. How B undercut the Wonder twice. How MarineLorD managed to stall it out, defend the Wonder. How he just used the traders to block the Rams in a critical moment from getting through the walls. So many tiny details, which ultimately culminate in a MarineLorD victory. I have no words for this, Aussie. We are in for a treat today, I feel.
Wow. 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 That's game 1, ladies and gentlemen. Game 2 will be coming up shortly, and I can promise you right now, we are only just getting started. What an incredible game we have just witnessed. One truly for the ages right there. Oh, there are no words to describe that, Lidakor. It is one of those indescribable moments. You've witnessed history here, ladies and gentlemen. What an incredible game.
Yeah, I have to say, probably one of the best games I've ever seen out here. A nail-biter to the end, so back and forth. And at the end of the day, MarineLorD takes the win home here. In the meantime, huge shout-out goes to everybody gifting subs, especially B-Dot dropping in the bomb of 100. I'm very glad that you guys enjoyed it just as much as we did.
Classic B-Dot coming in hard, as he always does. Welcome, B-Dot. Hope you were enjoying the show this evening. Boy, oh boy, wasn't that a good game. I can't believe it, man. That was insanity. And we're getting right into the action on the second game. It's going to be Mountain Clearing coming up in a classic matchup here. Holy Roman Empire v English. You know, a matchup that used to be really difficult for the English, but it's gotten a little bit easier since the changes to the Council Hall. Oh, man, I tell you what, I'm going to need a drink after that one. I've finished my Red Bull. I'm going to need something stronger, I think. We might have to start mixing in some vodka. Hey, vodka, how you doing? For anyone who doesn't know, our observer is vodka.
It's gonna be so awkward resetting our mind to a slow-paced game on Mountain Clearing after this absolute madness. And to think that this game could have been won by either of the players, and in this best of 9, this could be a decider game. Remember this, we might go into game number 9 or possibly just announcing the winner after this set saying, look, the difference maker was game number 1.
Yep, I mean, that's it, right? Like, that sets the tone for the rest of it. That could have gone either way. We had Sacred victory attempt, we had a Wonder victory, we had the Landmark victory attempt. What an absolute pleasure that was. If ever somebody asks you, like, show me one game to convince me to play Age of Empires 4, I think that has to be the game. That just had absolutely everything. Action from the very beginning. Booming, a massive focus on walling up, but at the same time breaking through from every single angle. Truly an epic game. But with that being said, we've got 5 minutes until the next game. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already put your money where your mouth is, we're going to have a prediction up for you soon. Who's going to be it for game number 2? That's the question on everybody's mind because, all good roads lead towards that final game in the best of 9. The question is going to be whether we make it there or not. So, is it going to be B? Is it going to be MarineLorD? Soon we'll be finding out.
MarineLorD will have the HRE here. B will have the English. 2 classic civilizations for Mountain Clearing. 2 civilizations that you play very differently. And one of the things I'm going to be extremely interested in is how the players approach the question of the boar in the middle. We have seen HRE players trying to go for it with the prelate buffing it. That probably is not realistic here against the English. And knowing B, how he loves to use his hunt with the English, I'm actually very curious if he's going to go for the boar himself.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he doesn't. We've seen in the middle, often players contesting the board, but the English have a particular advantage in this matchup against any civilization in that their villagers can shoot other villagers from range. Every other villager, they only get to stab with their crooks, whereas the English, they've got short bows that they can use to bridge the gap between those two things. So look to see B early on contest this, the boar in the center. I think it would be a big gamble if MarineLorD even tried to step outside his base.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. We've seen various ways of playing HRE on this map throughout the entire Elite Classic. Talk about Feudal Age Men-at-Arms into a semi-fast castle. We have seen Burgraves, we have seen Regnitzes. You really feel like HRE has a lot of flexibility on this map and at least a dozen ways that you can play it. On the other hand, this is a close, confined map with limited amount of space for mobility to be used, and that's something that always plays into the hands of the English. So as much as we said for game number 1 that this is a coin flip between the Rus and the Chinese, I feel like the same statement can be made here as well. HRE versus English could go either way.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. Yeah, it's definitely one of those matchups. I mean, as an English player, I have a little bit of trouble with this matchup, but that's on a standard map. You know, mountain clearing, it's not a standard map. We do see games sometimes go the distance on a map like this, but it is often very fast paced. You know, we have seen a record amount of games on this map finish in the Dark Age, just simply because someone goes for the boar, the other player contests them, and the boar, well, she just does her thing. we let her just do her thing, and well, she gets angry very quickly. She does a lot of damage, and her bites hurt. So, yeah, expect to see what could be the quickest game of the series, or expect to see what could be, I'm not going to say the longest game of the series, as we just got to witness a marathon, but there's always the option for a second one.
Yeah, in the meantime, huge shout out to everybody, of course, for all the support, all the gifted subs, all the resubs, the bits. Thank you so much, everybody, for supporting EGC TV. And thank you so much for so many of you being here. We are above 5,000 viewers over here. Thank you so much, everybody. Tell your friends, tell your family, because this is a crazy set, and they definitely want to check this out. As you said, if you wanted to show a single game to a new prospective fan, it would have been a previous one. If you want to bring in someone new, if you want to convince your partner that this is the game to watch, then this is a perfect moment to do it, because this is only game number 2 coming up out of this best of 9.
This is ludicrous. I mean, coming into today, I think a lot of people were disappointed not to see Beastie in the grand finals. Obviously, that classic matchup of Beastie versus MarineLorD, it's always one that you're hopeful to see. But watching B in that first game, I can definitely say he has come to the table. When you're talking about entertainment, I mean, that was just that was one of the most entertaining games I've ever watched. It was just what an absolute pleasure to be able to witness that live with you, Lidakor, and with all you guys as well, and girls. So thank you very much for that. But yeah, we got game number 2 to get into. 30 seconds to go. Lidakor, my question to you: does this game go for more than 10 minutes? Yes or no? What is your prediction?
I think yes. I think HRE have so much recovery potential over here. And especially after how grindy game number 1 was, how important every single game could be in this best of 9, I think especially the HRE player MarineLorD will not give up on this easily, even if he falls behind. I think my anticipation is a sub 20-minute game, but I think it's going to go longer than 10.
All right, well, we'll have to see exactly how it goes, because it is time for us to jump in. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't hear the sheep bleating just yet, but the moment that I do, I will know that we're ready to do it. So if you haven't already, make sure you put your money where your mouth is. I can tell you right now that with the prediction currently for game number 2, we've got 620,000 points for MarineLorD and 560,000 for B. So that's pretty damn close. 620 versus 50, what was it, 56 or 560,000. So not quite your 50-50, but I do hear in-game sounds. With that, we get to head in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 2. All right, well, spawning in on the south side of the map in the color red, playing as the Holy Roman Empire, representing Izzy Esports, it is MarineLorD. And in the middle of the map, currently taking the boar in the color blue, it's B on the English.
And we have just gotten our first question answered about this game, Aussie. Will B go for the hunt? He loves it. He does it so frequently on every single map. Here, the boar is so open for taking. You have those English short bows on your villagers. No one's going to contest you, and it's going to be such a great source of food out here for B to work with in Dark Age.
Yeah, we can see that already MarineLorD, he's kind of stuck in his base back here, but I tell you what, if there's anything that helps him out in a game like this, it's going to be his Archon Chapel placement. Have a look at the kind of value he's going to be able to get from an Archon Chapel down here. You know, we often talk about, you know, is this Archon Chapel a 5 out of 10, a 10 out of 10? What if I told you you could get 11 out of 10, and it's only on this map? Consider the following. Gold vein, wood line, berries, deer. It's that, you know, and the town center. I feel like we're that meme with who's the wrestling guy? You know, the guy that I'm thinking about, Vince Vaughn. Is it Vince Vaughn? It's just like, it's got everything. It's got everything. He doesn't have the stone, but I mean, he could probably still get it in if he wanted to. But it is that's an Archon Chapel right there, ladies and gentlemen. That's an Archon Chapel, but we'll worry about that later because it'll be coming down soon, and then we'll be able to give the assessment on it, the classic, the patented Drongo 10 out of 10 Archon assessment. But let's check in on that north side of the map. Let's see how B's doing, because he's gathering up the boar in the middle of the map. Looks like he's got about 8 villages there. Let's double check and see exactly how many villas. But I think, yeah, it looks like all 8 villas are out there, yeah. So every single villager on food was on that boar. That's a spicy meatball right there. But age up should be quick. Now, one of the things to note, does he go for a central council hall? Could be an option for him. Let's look to see whether he will do it. Doesn't want to keep 9 villagers on food during the transition period. So he's definitely incentivized to go for that. Let's find out if he actually does it, though. Because we do have the Archon and... Oh, my interesting Archon Chapel. Okay, that 11 that we were talking about, it's not here. This ain't it, Chief. I mean, it's still a pretty good Archon, right? Deer, stone, gold, wood. Town center, it's still an 11. It's still an 11. He doesn't hit the berries. He doesn't need the berries. He's got so much food in the bank. This is absolutely fine. I don't know, Lidakor, what do you reckon? Is this a 10 out of 10?
It's an 11 out of 10. Look at this. It's perfect. It's on the stone. It's on the wood. It's going to buff every single resource that you could humanly get. You cannot ask for anything more than this for MarineLorD.
All right, well, it looks like we do have the council hall coming up. It's not quite in the middle of the map. He didn't go super aggressive with it, but it's still, you know, if you get caught with your pants down out here, you ain't... Actually, never mind. It's, you know, it's mountain clearing, isn't it? The middle of the map and the town center are about half a screen away, so this is, you know, this is a perfectly safe council hall.
It is. Obviously, when you look at a council hall, you always have to consider that if it's in the middle of the map and you ever lose that part of the map, any unit that spawns will just get instantly picked off. So that's something that you have to respect and appreciate in context of the council hall. As you said, this is a safe spot, so that is likely not a threat for B.
All right, well, a bit of an interesting strategy. Now, we've seen this before from B. He actually pioneered this strategy on, I remember a game in Highview. Maybe he didn't pioneer it, but definitely popularized it. There was a game on Highview where he played against the English, and he went for an early archery range. And now we see MarineLorD looking to emulate that, going for a really quick archery range here, and just to deal with any kind of longbow aggression, he'll be able to utilize that.
We have seen an emergence of the HRE archer builds recently, and part of that is, as you mentioned, it's a great response to B's longbowman play. And the idea here is that it's not like you get any specific bonuses for your archer production or your archer quality. It's simply the fact that you have a juggernaut economy, so you are going to play the numbers game. In fact, you see, it's not only archers, it's got to be a mix of archers and horsemen. And MarineLorD will just look to overpower B with sheer numbers. One thing to keep in mind, though, is that B is going to spot both production buildings, which means that he knows fully well what he's up against. And I anticipate him to start mixing his spears quite soon.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see exactly how he follows up with what he's looking for. He's still keeping those villagers on gold, which is something to note. So normally, if there's a couple villagers on gold, you can expect that there's probably going to be a feudal play because that gold will be used for your upgrades, whether that be your eco upgrades initially, whether that be your blacksmith upgrades that eventually come through. Could be an option, but he's building up the longbows back at home for the moment. How much has he got left on that boar? Because he's been out here for 5 minutes now. So there mustn't be too much left on that. 500. Decent little job that he's done with that. Think about that, right? 2,000 food that your enemy doesn't ever get. You'd get over the top of them. That's massive.
So many little details go into that. It's the fact that that is a very fast way of obtaining food, which is a critical thing when you have a low amount of villagers like you have in Dark Age or Early Feudal. Also, it's probably the least, or it's actually the most exposed source of food that you have access to if you're B. So you want to take that first. And when you're
Yeah.
under pressure from MarineLorD, you will still have your hunt safe, you will still have your sheep intact, you will even have your berries available. So all these safe sources of food have not yet been depleted by him because he was focusing on the boar.
Yeah, it's a really smart move. It also delays his transition to farms as well, which, as the English, you don't need to. I mean, you don't have to delay it, but at the end of the day, it's resources that you're spending on something that's not military. It's not aging up, so you want to try and take those if you can. So it means that he's going to be a little bit more aggressive, or we'll have the ability to make a few more units, but I think it might be a castle age that's coming out. Take a look at this. He's starting to stack up the gold now. And we only see the 7 longbows out, so not going particularly aggressive on this. Could look to undercut MarineLorD and deny the potential for a strong relic economy.
For sure, he could. In fact, he could also work towards capturing that sacred site early. And honestly, if MarineLorD isn't pushing this area, I could even see a white tower being placed in the middle. I think that's a bit more all-in-ish than going for just the second TC landmark back at home. But knowing B, knowing how he loves to play, how out of the box he often is thinking, I think that's a legitimate option. Go for a white tower in the middle, start that timer soon, and put MarineLorD on a very serious timer.
I got to agree with you. I think that's right up B's alley. The main thing I'm really fearful of is that MarineLorD's starting to build up a good number of units here, good number of archers. So there is always a risk that if MarineLorD sees that, and he will, this guy's got a lot of eyes, I can tell you right now, he wears glasses, he will challenge you. Starting to push out now. You see the numbers of archers has risen. He's got a nice little group of 15 out here with just a single horseman for the moment. Just to threaten, hey, I can make cavalry. You better make some spears, but he doesn't make any spears, and he's got the resources to go up now, and it's going to be the King's Palace safely back in the base somewhere as those archers are coming through here.
Yeah, I think that's the
Get
safe
spotted
choice,
out
and
by
I like
B
it.
or by MarineLorD. Look at this.
That's a
Look
little
at the spot.
dicey.
Yeah. It's slightly too far away from the TC. He could threaten it with the archers, but the longbows will slowly tap away at them. I don't think he's going to be able to get in here, and he backs out. He thinks the same thing.
I love how B... whatever his game plan was, maybe he contemplated the White Tower and just went back to the King's Palace. Maybe this was by design right from the beginning of the game. Whatever the case, given the archer numbers that MarineLorD has, this is the best choice he could have made.
Yeah, I got to agree. And he goes into crossbows. His first unit, it's a crossbow. He sees all those archers. He sees the horsemen. And he says, you know what my real danger is right now? Men-at-arms. That's what I'm scared of. Interesting decision to go into the crossbow here. I wonder what the thinking behind that is.
Curious choice. Maybe he was anticipating some men-at-arms to support those archers. Maybe he's thinking ahead and saying, okay, MarineLorD should be close to Castle H himself, could be a Burgrave, and if he goes for a Burgrave, I will need a handful of crossbows to deal with the men-at-arms. Don't forget, 1 or 2 crossbows will get overpowered by Burgrave men-at-arms. So,
Exactly.
getting some early prep in there from B is very valuable. Even if MarineLorD goes for a Burgrave, he's going to have 5-6 crossbows available to deal with those initial men-at-arms. It's going to be the Regnits from MarineLorD, which, given those 2 safe relics right next to the landmark, is as good as it gets. But it also means that, for the time being, he's going to focus mostly on the archer department when it comes to the army.
Yeah, I like this from MarineLorD. It definitely felt a little bit all in going into the Burgrave, even though he's got lots of resources to try and work with. But you know, B's got all the tools that he needs, right? Like at his disposal. And we do now see him also going into a monk. So going to be looking to not only deny that 3rd relic from MarineLorD, but also look to potentially capture that sacred site in the center of the map. There's no stone that's being gathered just yet, so he's not looking for a keep in the center at this stage. We'll just be keeping it all mobile unit based. Age up comes through now. And B not even opting for the closest relic to the monastery. Look how close that relic is. He just walks past it and says, I'm not interested, Chief. I gotta get to the middle. I gotta deny this relic out from MarineLorD. But you can see MarineLorD wants it bad. Yeah, he wants it real bad.
Such a nice mind game here from both sides, actually. You see the monk actually jumped into the tower over here for shelter. Longbows will fall back. Crossbows, not much use for him right now. It's only light units from MarineLorD, but MarineLorD looks like he's pushing in. He's going to snipe the scout. and working his way towards all those longbows, but he cannot get rid of this tower right now, which means that the priest will survive.
Where is MarineLorD's prelate? I feel like there should have been a prelate here to collect this relic 20, 30 seconds ago, and it's not. And now you've got yourself a little bit of a problem because the unit numbers for B are starting to rise, and he's actually going to... Oh, my lord, he wants it so bad, but he's not getting it, is he? Oh, gosh, it's so tight. He finds it. MarineLorD lands at the third relic. That puts him into the game. He's up against that second TC. Keep that in mind. So B is scaling with the economy at the moment. But MarineLorD, I mean, he's got the numbers here. He's looking pretty solid early on in this game, and securing the third relic definitely hampers the plans of B.
This is so good for MarineLorD here. He got the veterancy upgrade on those archers, dives in, yoinks the relic, picks off a lot of precious longbows. He's outnumbering his opponent 3-1 on the army department. He's going to have 3 safe relics with the Regnitz Cathedral, and look at what he's doing off the back of this. He's piling up resources to get to Imperial, get to the Pass of Schwabia, and make up for that villager difference that there is due to B having 2 TCs already.
This is really well played by MarineLorD. But I just want to comment on something. To me, it all just goes back to the crossbow. Why did we make crossbows? I feel like they were, sure, it's a unit, but I always tell people, we don't want to react to what we think the enemy is making. We want to react to what they've made. And I feel like that didn't happen here. Making crossbows, typically, if you look at it, like, what counters the crossbow? The horseman? The archer. You're making a unit that you know the enemy's got the counter for. It didn't really make sense, but speaking of not making sense, all the villagers inside the base of B now getting eviscerated by the archers. An incredible job by MarineLorD, managing to walk right on top of them so he doesn't trigger that alarm off. Takes out 7 villagers in the blink of an eye.
B lost his scout about 3 minutes ago to the archers. MarineLorD still has it. That's the difference you have. MarineLorD had the vision. He could creep up on B's eco, get the picks. Now B is busy chasing down that group of archers. Means that MarineLorD will get to Imperial in safety. Behind this, B has secured a sacred site. There is a sacred site timer going on, but that's a little deceiving because MarineLorD will have the advantage of Imperial Age here.
And that's just it. You know, one of the big threats against... Well, with having a sacred site is that it's easy to go and just put down something like a keep on the sacred site and say, you're not going to touch this. But if your enemy's in Imperial Age, they have access to the bombard. And that really eliminates that threat of static defense. Units continuing to move forward. Just checking out, seeing exactly what the enemy's got. B not gathering up too much stone at the moment, so there's no real sign of a stone or a keep coming in. But the Imperial Age is reached at 13 minutes and 37 seconds. Tell you what, that's a pretty good timer.
That's a really good timing, especially considering that MarineLorD has been making a lot of archers. He's been fighting. It's not like he's doing a naked vanilla fast imp. He has done this while also being very active on the map. He gets to Imperial first. He picked off 7 villagers from B, so he gets to start using this Pass of Schwabia in a moment where he's only down by 5 vills. Means so much for him, because this way, look at that, he's even going to heal up the archers, but he's maximizing his efficiency this way. There's really not going to be any moment where B's economy is going to be much stronger than his. And let's not forget, B, I think he is depleting his food sources. He only has 300 food per minute. He's just now going to start working his way towards farms, which is probably the worst possible time, given how MarineLorD will time his aggression.
Yeah, and I'm starting to think, like, what outs does B have right now? You know, often when you look at a game and the way that it's unfolding, you're assessing, what are my outs here? If you've ever played poker, you'll be familiar with that term. You know, I need this card to beat my opponent. And at this point, I'm thinking, what does B even have as an out here? It just doesn't feel like there's anything. And look, elite archers coming through from MarineLorD. This is such a smart play because he's got culverins to back this up. The main threat against archers at this point in the game is going to be a mangonel. But he's already got the siege workshop down. He's going to have a culverin out just to deny any potential threat of a mangonel. And to me, it's just, it seems so easy for MarineLorD. Everything is just, you know, he's calculated it perfectly and he hasn't made a single mistake.
Yeah, this is so well timed, and this is part of the reason why the HR is a very popular civilization on this map. If you don't get destroyed in the first few minutes, you can get to Imperial. You can unlock the Pass of Schwabia. And once you have that, you play from a tech advantage position that's very difficult to compensate for if you are any civilization other than the HRE.
Yeah, I got to agree. The HRU just has a really big advantage here, and they've got such a tempo advantage, right? Like, you're not going to be able to apply pressure here, because even if you take out villagers, they've got the villager printer that's online here. So, 1 or 2 villager kills doesn't really mean much in the scheme of things, let alone like 10 villager kills. It's fine. I've got the printer. MarineLorD's already jumped ahead on that villager count as well.
Indeed, he did. Now, his food eco isn't spectacular. He's going to have to start mixing in some farms as well. But that's where that crazy Aachen Chapel comes into play. You see, he's got 2,000 wood per minute. He can turn that into farms in a blink of an eye. And it's not like this central area is very well fortified. So he can easily afford to go down to 3 minutes, dare I say 2 minutes, on that Sacred Site countdown before really having to push. In fact, he's going to get a castle up right in the middle here. Springald's creeping up, but there's a Culverin out there. Actually, there isn't. It's just in queue right now.
It's just in queue for the moment, but, I mean, B's outnumbering the Culverin, 4-1, inevitably when it does come out. So this gives him a significant advantage in that regard, but we've got elite archers just going up against veteran longbowmen at the moment. So things are doing pretty well for MarineLorD, but B is going to hold for the moment. The keep comes up, and with that, he solidifies his position on the center. Basically says you can't push in with any kind of cavalry unit and try and take these out. If you do, you're going to be in trouble. And a second Culverin now in queue as well. All right. Well, Culverin, oh, look at the Springald numbers. He's got 2 more in queue as well. This is actually pretty smart coming from B right now. Just massing up a whole bunch of Springalds.
He's got the attack aura as well. Don't forget that. He's got 25% attack boost on those Springalds. It's got to be a difference maker. And if he can snipe the siege weapons, it will be challenging for MarineLorD to contest this because you have multiple Springald towers now coming up.
We see the first shot comes off. The Culverin going to be able to take out the first Springald. Hits the second one as well. That's 2-0 for the Frenchman at the moment. Still got plenty Springalds back there. You can see just how much health these things have gotten. B going to be splitting up his Springalds into groups of 3. This is very key because 3 Springalds is going to be enough to one-shot out those Culverin. Problem is, there's a good chance that one of those Springals is going to be dead before it gets the chance to fire. And indeed, another one goes down. That's 3 down for MarineLorD. 4th one down as the second Culverin comes out, and all of a sudden you can see how quickly the table has turned. You're going up against one of the best micro players in the game, and every single Springald, with the exception of that one that gets away with 14 health, no, that's a longbow, manages to die. A very painful death. Incredible micro right there from MarineLorD. Oh, there it goes.
And he's repairing the Culverins as well. He took some damage. He doesn't care. He's going to repair. He destroyed 7. Okay, not even worth talking about. B just taps out of this one. Terrific micro by MarineLorD. He's going to put the 2nd point on the board here, Aussie. A much shorter game than what we had in game number 1, but still spectacular, especially if you look at how well MarineLorD has played in this game.
Yeah, to me, it just goes back to, what was the game plan there for B? MarineLorD just did an incredible job with everything. He had, there were no outs that B could possibly reach for. MarineLorD just had everything covered. And I think that that's one of the difficult things in this matchup. If the Holy Roman Empire plays it right, it's difficult for the English player, in my opinion, to be able to take a game off them, especially from somebody like MarineLorD. But incredibly well played from him there. Wonderful display of Culverin micro as well. That little bit of extra range just goes so far.
And with that, MarineLorD secures a 2nd win, and it's getting a little dicey here for B. No reason to panic just yet. This is a best of 9. It's first to 5 games to win, but you're down 2, and every single moment that you lose a game, it's going to get worrisome, especially because now B lost a home map. Looks like instead of choosing one of his home maps as game number 3, he opts to go for a home map of MarineLorD over here. That is going to be Woodwall, and I love this choice from B. He cannot get into that spiral of losing a game, taking another home map of his, and then possibly getting into a scenario where he just depletes all his home maps too fast.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He's also going to be thinking about the next game as well, because he's going to have access to the Ottomans there and wants to make sure that there's a map that he can use them on there that's going to go well. But for anybody who's not really familiar with the way that this layout works, this matchup works, when you do lose the game, you get to pick the map. And when you lose a home map like that, having picked it, it's kind of like in tennis is the way I think about it. When you've got that break point that happens, because normally it's the serving player who controls the tempo, controls the pace, and they're expected to win the point most times. But once that response has come through, it's often very difficult when you get broke like that. So you can see that MarineLorD's definitely having a nice time early on in this series here, up 2 points, but it's a best of 9 series. There's anything that can happen here after watching that first game. I'm confident B's got the goods to put on a real show for us today. Let's talk about this matchup, Lidakor.
Yep.
French versus Abbasid. How do you feel about it?
I think it's one thing how I feel about this matchup in general, but we have to put this into the context of the map we have. Woodwall. Very different from any other map that we have in this tournament. Possibly much more slower paced. Has a lot of berries all concentrated on the flanks. Has options to trade. Has options to boom. I feel like if this game goes very long, I fancy the Abbasids over here. But then again, the French have so many tools at their disposal. Those early knights, they can harass the Abbasid villagers, limit the expansion, prevent any kind of trade that would go on in mid-game, possibly even cut off B from being able to place a TC on those berries. I feel like a lot will come down to how MarineLorD plays the early game here, how much he can accomplish with those French knights, and how much he can prevent this going into a very long game, where the Abbasids, with the upgrades that they have on their trash units, their fancy trade, their economical juggernaut, and in general, the population efficiency of their armies would thrive.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. Another point that I want to bring up is the prospect of trade. We've seen it before on this map, players going for trade. Against the French as well, trade is quite a strong thing to be going for as them. I'm curious whether MarineLorD looks to bring that on board. I know that we've seen it in the past from B when he's played the French, so we saw that there was a little bit of an emulation of strategies coming out earlier through MarineLorD going into the archers. Maybe today we see MarineLorD looking to pick up another strategy of B's and go into that French trade. Perhaps a chamber of commerce, a sneaky little chamber of commerce. If there's ever a map for it, it could be this one. Beautiful trade post position. So we'll have to keep an eye out for that. But I'm curious, Twitch chat, who do you think is going to win? If you haven't already, make sure you check out the predictions. At the moment, I can give you the live update. 374,000 points currently bet on MarineLorD and 355,000 on B. That is pretty damn close. Once again, these guys are so neck and neck, Lidakor. At least the fans think so.
Yeah, I feel like it's not just the players, right? It's also the civilizations that they have. We went into game number 1 saying it's a coin flip essentially between the two civs. Kind of the same thing for game number 2 as well. And here, once again, it's not a matter of which civ is more, I guess, functional on a specific map. It's more about how you use a specific civilization on this given map. It's so much dependent on how the players play it. And that's part of the reason why all these bets are extremely balanced. It's very hard to see who has the upper hand or who will have the upper hand without seeing the first 10 minutes of the game.
Or without seeing Digital Alchemy gifting 80 subs to the EGC TV community. Digital Alchemy, mate, I tell you what, that's a bit of magic right there. What the hell are you doing, buddy? Wow, thank you very much. Very kind of you. EGC TV's community thanks you greatly. I know that in some points in the first game, keep in mind, EGC TV can't control when the ads for Twitch get shown. They just get shown randomly. Not randomly, I'm sure that there's a method to the madness, but we don't get to pick it. And so by gifting those subs, you have saved 80 people from having to be exposed to those ads. So thank you. Huge shout out.
It's not just 80 bounty, but also 80 gifted subs. But in we go, game number 3. Critical game for B. You don't want to fall down 3-0.
Yeah, this really becomes an important point for B here because, as they say, fool me at 3-0, shame on me. Fool me at 4-0, shame on you. Look, it was a terrible... I'm just going to walk that back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 3. We're on Woodwall, a map that you might not be familiar with. It's not particularly played in the ranked games. In fact, I don't even think this is on the quick match ladder, is it, Lidakor? I think this is a bit of a weird one.
No, not at all. This is a custom map made for EGC tournaments. It had its debut quite a long time ago, actually. I think it was possibly even before the Winter Team Championship. This map just dates back all the way to the Road to Red Bull Volo area. And it has had its share of screen time. Usually featured as game number 2, game number 3 type of a map. Not something that players often picked, but it was still a safety pick for many, especially players that want to deviate from those open map style gameplay elements. If you feel like, hey, I'm getting a little tired, or I don't want to play another Arabia-style map. I want to try something different. This is your go-to map.
It's a fun map though, right? Like we've seen a lot of silly strategies on this map. I remember watching B go for a town center play on this map with the Mongols. Because remember, the Mongols got nerfed. They used to have this super fast town center that could drop down wherever it pleased. But then they said, no, actually, you're not allowed to do that anymore. The town center has a limit as to how far it can go. But what B decided to do was use additional town centers. Not the main primary one, he'd use the secondary one. So B has always been very creative when it came to this map. Let's see what he looks to do here as he is opening up with the military wing. Interesting choice. We've seen this before. On this map, the military wing allows you to get that early control out, Lidakor. How do you feel about this?
Oh, I like this, especially against the French. Don't forget, you have a lot of berries on one flank. To the north, right next to that sacred site, you have a ton of berries. That's a prime spot for a second DC for the Abbasids, but it's challenging to pull that off against a civilization like the French when the French have knights out. So what do? You go for an early military wing, say, okay, I need to establish some map control, and once I have it, I make my expansion towards these berries.
All right, well, let's see exactly how it goes. There's so many damn berries out here. If there's ever a map for the Abbasid, this is it. I like that play, you know, going for the military wing, use that as your early defense, because remember that you get the 2 spears and the 2 archers. So you're able to shut down that first knight guaranteed, and then you just take the second town center behind that. And you can put on the pressure as well. So it alleviates that pressure from the knight, but it also doubles up in the sense that you could just go straight into more pressure and kind of force the enemy's hand as to whether they want to go for that second TC or not.
Yeah, it's always a tricky choice, right? Especially when the second TC goes down close to your first one, if you play a very compact base. Because one of the things that we have seen on this map over and over again is that if a player plays very defensive, just contracted eco, 2 TCs back at home, and just forfeits the entire map control, the opponent can beat that with trade. In fact, for a long time, Chinese was the go-to pick on this map. Chinese 2 TC Song Dynasty Boom being a strategy. And response was Mongol trade to that. Now, we're past that, but with the trading posts being out there in the middle, if you have some map control and your opponent is just refusing to contest it, you can get some really good early eco with the trade, and possibly even undercut the opponent with their 2 TC timings.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility, an option. But MarineLorD now reaches the feudal age, and the knight is in queue. Keep in mind, he's already got the wheelbarrow on the way as well. So this is a classic French build order. A little bit of a late age up time. I'll say that much, though. 4 minutes and 40 seconds. It seems pretty late here. What's going on with that? I don't know either. All right, well...
yeah, it's just like... Nothing, thinking. You know, grinding the gears in the brain, but nothing comes out.
Nothing at all. All right, well, it looks like B is now going to be throwing down that second town center. You can see he's got the stone for it. And look at him moving across the map so early with these units. He's got the double spear out. So if these archers are ever threatened at all by this knight, spears are going to be coming in and saving the day. Now, one thing to note is those villagers are moving out to add that second town center. If MarineLorD spots those villagers, a little bit of an awkward spot. The villager goes, or the spearman goes down. This is huge. This is massive because now all of a sudden that knight can kill everything up here.
That's enormous, especially because the spearman does not have the feudal age upgrade. This is such a lowly spearman, will get picked off, archers will get taken down, and talk about one misstep possibly costing you so much. Just getting a little too close to that TC, loses one spearman, and now the archers are getting cleaned up. Looks like the TC will finish in time, but this definitely did not go according to plan for B.
Yeah, that was a very painful loss. I was actually surprised to see the second knight out there for MarineLorD. I didn't realize he'd already got that second one out, but we talked about the risks of losing that spearman. Ladies and gentlemen, there's more that's going to be lost today. The first of the villagers goes down. The second villager is going to be going down here as well. The villagers don't even want to finish the town center. Excuse me, villagers, get yourself back over that other side and get that town center complete. He loses 2 vills early on in this game, and you've already just got to start off by saying, well, MarineLorD, you're in a good spot there, my friend, aren't you?
I love how MarineLorD pulled off the knights when he saw the TC getting close to completion. He didn't go bloodthirsty. Maybe he could have gotten a third pick, but he didn't want to. He wants to keep that knight alive so he can push the starting base of B. And you see, he's now moving out for his own second TC. He has all the map control in the world, opts to go for the hunt. And you see, now this Knight being full HP is just doing even more damage. Third villager gets picked, and the barracks is just now finishing for B.
Damn, MarineLorD's micro is so good, man. Like, after just watching that little battle, he always just finds a way through. It's such a pleasure to watch. But B, I mean, he's starting to drop the ball here, right? Like, we saw him make a bit of a mistake with the range on that town center, losing the spear. He loses the spears. He loses the fight against the knights. The knights now, because they killed the spearmen and the archers so quickly, they can subsequently get out to the town center. They killed 2 villagers. They kill a 3rd villager because, once again, you know, we're so delayed. It's like all of the problems in B's game all happened from that one little mistake that he made at the beginning. This snowball effect is just coming out in real power right now. So the question on my mind, is he going to be able to overcome this deficit that he's already facing in this 3rd game?
It's gonna be a challenge. There is a knight back at home, which means he needs to keep a couple of spearmen on standby. And look at that. MarineLorD will tower the berries. It's gonna be critical to deny those, as we apparently lose a couple of frames over here. Even the internet cannot handle the quality of these games right now. But yeah, you see, the issue that B has right now is that he's playing catch-up. He's down 3 wills, he's fighting against an opponent that has faster working TCs, and there's a knight roaming his base. This knight will try to get some picks. Look at that. MarineLorD is not paying attention to this knight, though. Won't stop the tower that B is building. Means that his own tower will likely be stopped.
Yeah, you can see now that outpost is going to come up, and B will fortunately deny that away from MarineLorD and manages to get his own villager kill on the board here. Could have denied that with the knight, as you mentioned, but obviously didn't take the opportunity when it was presented. So perhaps, was that the first mistake of the series that we're seeing out from MarineLorD? There's the second one. He loses an archer underneath the town center. He's it's all falling apart for MarineLorD.
Obviously, he needs to keep an eye out on this one knight. He's been focusing on it for a long time and didn't see that tower coming up. Now, as you said, DC is secure for B, berries are safe, and as big of a difference maker losing that spearman was, this tower going up for B was also clutch. If MarineLorD gets that tower up, B's position would have been abysmal.
Yeah, definitely. Because once that outpost comes up, the amount of food that he's actually able to take here is significantly hampered. It basically leaves that one field of berries and about like 2 or 3 bushes on the other one. Unfortunately, he manages to deny it, but look at this, yeah. Siege engineering now coming through. Knight comes in on the back line. It's being chased by a couple of spears. He manages to snag 1 villager, and he gets out on 3 HP. Classic MarineLorD micro. No. He lives. Oh, it was close.
It was way too close. If the scout didn't body block that wolf, I think it might have gotten the kill.
You've got to be careful of those wolves. They do hurt. How many games have you played where you've been 46 minutes through the game, you've moved villagers over to a wood line, and you've come back 3 minutes later, and you've got villagers that are just sitting there on half health, and you can hear that sound, that annoying sound that the wolves are making. You know what? If they removed wolves from the game tomorrow, I would sleep easier at night.
I don't think Roost players would sleep easy, though.
It's okay. As long as they're getting 80 bunty, they're going to be happy.
Oh, 2 more knights coming in. I love the timing of this chivalry from MarineLorD. It's such an opportunistic play. He didn't pop it until he didn't specifically need it for the 1 knight that was damaged. In fact, I think that knight goes all the way back home. He brings in 2 fresh bodies down south, and he's going to heal that knight back up to full HP with chivalry.
Yeah. I like that about chivalry. You know, back in the day, it was very much, I'm going to make 2 knights and then I'm going to get chivalry. It was so cheap. But now it really becomes much of a, do I have the opportunity to utilize chivalry here? Sometimes we see players skip chivalry altogether and just not look for it because the opportunity never presents itself. But this is a great time for it. Speaking of great times, let's get the rams out, ladies and gentlemen. Makes it in the stealth forest so it doesn't get scouted out, but an archer's going to reveal it. He says, hey, do you want to know about my secret project that I'm hiding from you? Loose lips sink ships. Seems so to loose bows. Oh. But beautiful surround right there. What an absolute catch. Manages to get the knight as well as the scout. Really well played there.
That's good value.
Doing a decent job of cleaning up the raid.
Yeah, last couple of minutes have been good for B. He picked off that 1 knight. Did a lot of damage to this bad boy too, but as you said, more importantly, he spotted the ram, and he's got a force ready to fight this. He's got archer numbers pretty much matching what MarineLorD has on the field here, at least. Fortifications coming in for the outpost. This is gonna be a tough push for MarineLorD to make.
He's also just researched textiles, which is an interesting technology to get this late against the French, but it makes sense considering that the push is now imminent against B. So, picking up this upgrade, he knows that the villager count may dwindle as that ram is taken out. But he manages to chase it away for the moment. More knights joining the field. He's up to 6 knights in total here. Expensive units, keep that in mind. So, if you're looking at that military population count, do not be alarmed. Well, I guess you could be alarmed right now. Look at that, surrounds the knight with the archers. Who's doing that these days, Lidakor?
That's a ballsy move for sure. You don't often see the archer just saying, look, I am not afraid of you, knight. We'll just surround you, but it looks like MarineLorD is going to have to add a second ram over here. He's up by 10 villagers, not to be underestimated. But on the other side, you have a fortified outpost here, numbers rising for B, and his economy is fueled by these berries, which is obviously a great thing for an Abbasid player.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's got so many resources to take advantage of by keeping this location safe. We can see a very rare mistake coming out from him where his population blocked for a little bit here. But we do see the push beginning to come out. Villager gets picked off as well. He's taken out 2 of these forward villagers so far. I suspect maybe an outpost was going to be dropped to provide that line of sight. But with the 2 rams out here, this is a real threat. But B is scaling pretty well behind this. But it's interesting to note that MarineLorD's actually scaling better.
This is tricky. You see, B's floating a lot of food, but his gold income is insufficient for him to go to Castle Age. I feel like here, given how well fortified that position is, he could opt to go for Castle, get the upgrades in, because looks like MarineLorD's push stalled out. And I would not be shocked if MarineLorD... Yeah, he's just sending the knights to the south. That's going to be your diversion, but he's keeping the archers nearby. He's going to have the rams hidden in the stealth forest. Blacksmith upgrades looking slightly better for MarineLorD, but if B balanced his eco a little bit, he could go up to Castle Age. He's going to get the phalanx as well. And I feel like the timing has to be there for MarineLorD. If he hits B while he's going up to Castle, it's great timing. If B gets his Castle Age upgrades in, it's a disaster for MarineLorD.
We'll have to see whether he looks to do it. At the moment, he's just going to stick to the good old classic archers and spearmen combo. The combo is old as time itself, these guys. No matter the continent you look at, no matter the time frame, you'll always find guys with spears ready to stab you. Got to be careful of those things. They're pretty long, especially when you're up against these Abbasid players. They're extra long. He's got the phalanx upgrade about to come through here. Still just a handful of villagers on gold, but a knight does make it through onto the wood line. And oh my boy, is that a raid right there? That's a lot of dead villagers. They managed to get locked up inside. Not like this. MarineLorD says, you want to lock things in? How about this, baby? 12 villager kills at the moment on the board, and there's going to be more as the 13th one goes down. Meanwhile, on the north side of the map, the archer numbers are starting to build for MarineLorD. He's got 36 up against the 29 of B, but it still looks like the numbers are on his side at the moment.
Oh my lord, the timing of this one for MarineLorD just came in clutch, and you see he's got enough archers to hold this off. B was gambling on the fact that the knights aren't there. He wanted to push when the knights weren't around, but MarineLorD has enough archers to hold this, and MarineLorD just massacred the villagers on the gold. B even had some spearmen hidden among the villagers to make it more difficult for the knights to charge, but it didn't matter, and the lumberjacks are still exposed. If MarineLorD ever rotates back, he can find 15 more kills. B's got no gold income, and he's stuck in between a rock and a hard place right now, floating a lot of food, but lacking wood, lacking gold. He cannot do anything with this. He cannot escalate his army. He cannot go to Castle Age. And MarineLorD now has the archer number advantage by a small margin at least, and the knights are still a threat.
Now, for all you aspiring boomers out there, take a look at MarineLorD's economy. This is one of the world's best players at 16 minutes, and he's stacking up 1,400 wood. Just remember that, okay? It's okay. It's okay to float wood. Even the best players in the world do it. But look at the spearman numbers down here. It's not okay to lose your knights to all these spears. You're playing with fire right there, MarineLorD. Now, what's he going to do with all that wood, Lidakor? I reckon, look, I thought he was saving up to build, you know, like a log cabin or something like that. But I think this might be more, maybe he's attempting to build like a skyscraper just with wood, though.
It's more likely that he's just going to play farms. And of course, oftentimes, pro players will just send all the villagers to wood as they micro their units. Their rally point is set on wood, because you can convert wood to anything. You can make a market, sell it, you can convert it into farms. Looks like this is a little dicey for the Knights over here. B getting some decent picks, but MarineLorD escapes.
He gets 4 of the Knights through, but it was a decent catch attempt there by B. Is MarineLorD going for something like a ram spam? Do you think that could be on the cards here? He's got 2 out already. He's got enough resources to throw down 6 more.
Come
There's
to
a
think
world
of
where
it,
I could see it.
Come to think of it, it's realistic, but he needs to consider his food income as well. He just spent a lot of wood, and it's not on rams, apparently. He's got a lot of archers, though. I don't think this is enough to beat these archers, though. Like, you see the numbers, those are relatively even.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's definitely a significant mass here, but can we have a look and see where it was? I think it's farms, right? Yeah, he's just put down a whole bunch of farms back on that that mill over there. By the looks of it. Oh yeah, that's some good-looking farms right there. That's some T90 farms. But look at the archer numbers here. Spearmen beginning to move out as well, but keep in mind at this stage, Spearmen kind of irrelevant in this little battle here. They're keeping the single knight just gets obliterated in the blink of an eye, but look at the numbers coming out from MarineLorD. He is stacking up these archers on the wall. Good luck trying to deal with that many.
This is a tricky fight for B. He doesn't want to sacrifice the spears because he's afraid of knights, but in this fight he frankly has to. If he loses archers, if he just trades archer against archer, MarineLorD has the mass, and I think B is realizing that there are just no knights on the field. You can commit the spears and just use them as a meat shield at this point.
Yeah, keep in mind you do have, is it the boot camp upgrade from the Abbasid that gives you a little bit of extra health. I don't know whether it's enough to make a difference against this many archers, but MarineLorD's micro has been superb this game, utilizing that line formation to make sure he's got the concave. Really well played here, and still stacking up that wood. Speaking of wood, have a look in the middle. We're almost through the wood wall. I just felt like, you know when you're watching a movie and the name of the movie gets said in the movie? It's like, oh, they said it. It's like, it's the same thing for us. Like, we just said it. The wood wall. The wall of the wood in the middle of the map. That's called wood wall. He said the thing.
Oh, the spearmen about to flood the lumberjacks over here. MarineLorD has to flee. First time that B is really threatening those villagers of MarineLorDs.
All right, well, the archer numbers are holding for the moment. The wood wall about to break, and who does that really favor if the wood wall does break? I think it kind of favors B, right? Because he's on the aggress here. And you can see he's starting to mix in some horsemen, realizing that, well, the archers just aren't doing as well as they should be. And says, we got to fall back. We got to go towards plan B here. And that's going to be the men with the spears, but instead of carrying them, they ride horses and carry them instead. But big raid now in the south. Look at this.
Good value over here. A lot of villagers getting caught as MarineLorD has to focus the army. He's just falling back more and more. As you said, horsemen also being mixed in now. Army numbers equalizing though. Town Center Fire helping out a lot. And MarineLorD still has 8 knights. He's picking off the spears. He's just waiting for the opportunity. This is a trap for B, and he's falling into it.
Oh, he's got only 6 spears on the field, and none of them are here. All of the knights just going to have an absolute field day cleaning up these archers, and B down 23 villagers in this game. Starts to feel a little bit awkward about the lack of spearmen inside the enemy base. Keep in mind, the wood wall is now open for business, ladies and gentlemen. That means that the advantage all of a sudden goes to MarineLorD because he is the man with the numbers.
By a mile. He's got a massive villager lead despite losing all these villas to the spears. But I love how he approached this one. He made B believe that he can dive into this. B had massive numbers advantage. And MarineLorD kept the knights back, waited until all the spearmen were gone, and now he's unleashing those knights. The timing and the game sense that MarineLorD had over here is coming in so clutch.
Yeah, this is absolutely wonderful by MarineLorD. He's just playing impeccably today. An incredible performance from him today. We've seen just beautiful decision-making coming out from him, and once again, a lovely trap for his enemy to fall into, thinking it was safe to throw those spears away. But got to remember, the French have always got those knights in the back pocket. We crossed the 21-minute mark that we've spent in the feudal age. A long time in the feudal age here on a map like this. You normally see castle a little bit sooner, but They've been fighting balls to the walls here as more archers begin coming through. A distinct lack of spearmen here to defend. Says he's got 8 in the pocket, but I tell you what, he's not wearing those pants, that's for sure. There they are, finally joining the fray. The archer numbers is way too strong here, and I think this might be a good game as the Castle Age is coming through behind this Lidakor. Is there any way B gets back into this game?
I don't think so. I think momentum is too big. Rams available as well. Tower will get taken down, and all of B's production is here. Those Rams will chew through it in a blink of an eye, and when MarineLorD gets to Castle Age, he's going to get veterancy. He's going to have a massive lead. B is nowhere close to Castle Age himself. In fact, he's got 0 gold income. He's just trying to fortify towers at this point, but I do not know how long he will be able to hold against the Castle Age army.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough. The veterancy for these archers is going to come through immediately. You'll see the veterancy on those knights. Maybe even royal bloodlines will come through as well. It's going to be so tough for B, but he's going to look to try and stick it out in this fight. Archer numbers still holding. The Castle Age comes through, and now B's got to make a decision. What do I do?
Oh, this is so tricky for B. If he pushes this, both sides will lose armies, but MarineLorD is still gonna be in Castle Age. If he doesn't push this, MarineLorD has the upgrades. I don't think there is a good choice here for B. He cannot push this, but he has to.
Yeah, this is really tough. I think one of the options he could look to go for is just like mass horsemen, right? Like maybe sit back for a little bit because you know that veterancy is going to be coming through on the archers. You know +2 is going to be coming through for their attack. I mean, horsemen versus archers, it's relatively horsemen favored until the Castle Age comes through for the archers. Then you're starting to really test the strength of the horsemen. Continuing to kite away, those archers are starting to get threatened quite a bit by those horsemen, but they do fall back, looking to try and keep that archery range alive. Focusing down the battering rams. They managed to take them out, but now the numbers of archers are really starting to build here. He's beginning to shift into to horsemen. He's up to 2,000 food a minute here. That's 20 horsemen he can have out on this field. You can see MarineLorD, all he's making right now are archers. He's got 54 of them out. And the front line is still trying its best to hold on. 3 knights in queue now for MarineLorD. As ranged armor looks to come through, and I don't think he can break him. I think it's over.
Yeah, I have to agree. Once the knights arrive, it's a different story. Only 4 horsemen on the field for B. You see MarineLorD is mining stone. B opts to go to Castle Age with the culture wing, but Abbasids is the civilization with which you cannot accelerate your age-up process. And 1 minute 30 seconds, I can tell you, in a scenario like this, feels like eternity.
Yeah, it really does. He's got another 90 seconds before that age-up comes through, but he's going to have to deal with the raids coming in now. The knights have got their veterancy, the royal knights rather, and now they begin to idle out the villagers on the wood line. Looks like they're going to be deciding to, instead of idling, just getting their crooks out and doing a little bit of damage instead.
Now watch this. MarineLorD could drop a keep right on this sacred site on the berries, or he could drop it on the wood line. And if he does that, it's a nightmare for B.
I see what you did there, and I respect it. Culture Wing, 60 seconds to go. You can feel how long it's taking. I feel like I'm watching a Dragon Ball Z episode with B right now. It's taken so damn long for this Culture Wing to come online. Any second now, I expect Frieza to just pop out and say, surprise, it was me all along. But the keep now going to be thrown up, a little bit more of a defensive keep rather than going on the offense. But speaking of offense, MarineLorD going to be able to take out that second town center on that top side.
Yeah, B is trying to push into the base of MarineLorD here, but with the keep up, it's going to be impossible. There's a siege workshop as well. A mangonel is on the way. B completely forfeits the northern side. He's going to lose the DC. He's not going to lose the production. He's trying to make something happen in the middle. He will get Castle Age going, but it will still take some time to get the upgrades in. He's going to lose all his production. And I just feel like the moment MarineLorD sees Castle Age from B, he's just going to regress and try to finish this game before B gets the upgrades.
Yeah, he's got 2 seconds left on that Culture Wing. Come on, baby, give it to me. Click those upgrades. 1,700 gold in the bank. There they are. Veterancy on the archers. Composite bows. +2 ranged attack. +2 ranged armor. 4 upgrades for these archers are coming through right now. He needs these, and he needs them yesterday. He's trying his best to hold on against the enemy knights. As you mentioned before, this is becoming a nightmare for B. MarineLorD doing an absolute amazing job to keep B down.
So many villagers are lost over here. You see knights are just jumping on the villas. Archers pursuing them. B will get the upgrades in, but his eco is going to be shattered at this point. He's down to 94 villas, so many of them idle. And there is already a mangonel in the middle as well. With line of sight provided, the Mangonel can even shoot over the wood wall and just massacre the vills. Stone Miners getting slain. B is falling under 100 population, and you really feel like there is no way out of this.
One more shot! Don't do it, Mangonel! Oh, he goes over the other side, never mind, and we're not even going to see what happened. But for all you guys know, 1,000 villagers just got eliminated in the blink of an eye like a big B did. Ladies and gentlemen, Game 3 goes over to MarineLorD. He takes the series 3-0 at this stage and leaves us very close to that match point. Keep in mind, this is a best of 9, so there's still plenty of games to go. But boy, oh boy, that was tough for B, wasn't it?
MarineLorD is playing unreal today. Everything he does is so well polished. The timings, the decisions that he's making, and you look at that battle where B pushed all the way into MarineLorD's base. It looked dicey. B had a massive numbers advantage. MarineLorD paid it patient, depleted the Spearman numbers, and then used the Knights for a counterattack. It was such a clutch move, and that's what kind of fueled this recovery for MarineLorD. Was confined in his base for a while, managed to break out, and now he's leading 3-0. This was on his home map because B opted to go on MarineLorD's home map. But we're getting to the stage where B cannot afford any more mistakes. Despite the fact that he's playing really well, it's not like he's making major mistakes. But with 3-0 advantage for MarineLorD, it gets difficult for B if he makes any more mistakes at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's been famously said by MarineLorD, when he wins, it is a destruction, and that was an absolute destruction right there. Channel points going over to all the MarineLorD fans, and we enter to Highview. For game number 4, it's a matchup you'll be familiar with. We saw it earlier in the series, but hold on a minute. Have we got a switch of the sides? Is that what's happening right now?
I doubt so. So one of the things we'll need to keep an eye out on is that Civilization Draft, players will be redrafting the civilizations once we get to game number 4. So one of the things that you probably see over here is Chinese being available from MarineLorD due to that. And there's Roos for B. He loves this civilization. In the infamous game he played against Zerton on Highview, which was 3.5 hours long, he also had the Roos. Very curious to see this game.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare.
I mean,
I got kids to feed, Lidakor. I'm not doing 3 hours on Highview. Not again. Gosh, can you imagine that? I don't think that wasn't cast on EGC TV. I think the only person that was casting it was Wham, and boy, did he get himself into a little bit of a surprise. Jeez, that is. It's interesting, right? How Highview seems to go so long with its games. You wouldn't think an open map like Highview would, but I think the very nature of Highview in that you don't have line of sight, so you're not going to make a play because you don't know where your enemy is. So you have to stay defensive. So because you're staying defensive and your enemy's defensive, we both naturally boom up to the Imperial Age and we stay in the game for an hour and a half building stone walls. I think that's probably what happens.
That's a point of discussion between many players and even tournament organizers. Highview is such a wacky map. You look at it, and you wouldn't think that this map probably provides the longest game on average, but it actually does. And as you said, it's partly because you're deprived of vision, and you just don't want to risk moving out there. There's also a second element, that is the sacred site spawns. It's very difficult to control all 3 sacred sites at the same time, so you really don't have that tiebreaker criteria between the 2 players. It's easy to wall, it's easy to set up a good trade, so everything is set up for you to just play defensive, play the long game, and wait for your opponent to make a mistake instead of committing to something that could end up in a disaster, losing you the game.
Yeah, now that you think, when you mention those facts, it really does feel like the recipe for the perfect late game, doesn't it? Right? Like there's lots of wood, trade is really, it's an optimal map for trade. There's just so many factors, like as you mentioned, like you can't break a stalemate because the sacred sites are very difficult to take. There are so many factors that really just point towards that late game. So who knows how it's going to go down on this map. Both of these civs we saw in game 1, a game 1 that went for 80 minutes on a map like the Pit, which is pretty open. Oh, Lidakor, I'm starting to get worried.
Oh man,
what do we
this
got
is a must-win
into
for
right
B.
here?
Yeah, let's talk about that element, because that's something we didn't even mention. It's one thing that this map is the perfect setup for a long game, but it's also one of those maps where neither of these players will tap out. MarineLorD will fight until the bitter end because he wants to move on to match point. And B, he cannot afford to go down 4-0. That's a disaster for him if it happens. Even if he plays perfectly in the games after that, you don't want to fall into that match point scenario because then one misstep and it's the end of the story. So I can assure you that both of these guys will fight to the bitter end, and that's going to possibly result in a very long game for us. We got 3 minutes left to go. Once again, I think on the chat you can place your bets. Aussie will keep you updated on the actual standings of the bets, but before the people really make their bets on these, who do you reckon has the advantage here, given the civilizations, given what we have seen in the first 3 games, and given what map we have coming up here in game number 4?
Highview is a notorious map for the Rus. Rus love this map because you go to the sacred sites, you collect your wolves, and you exceed your 80 bounty, which is, you know, the soft cap for most Rus players, at least MarineLorD. So there's that going for them. Rus also in the current meta are quite strong, at least last patch's meta, which is what we're playing on at the moment. It's quite strong. So there's that. But you're also going up against MarineLorD, who is currently 3-0 in the series, considered to be by many the best player in the world, the best Age of Empires 4 player that ever lived, with maybe the exception of the Snake. He's quite a talented individual. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this one, when it comes to the bets, being straight down the middle. Let's have a look and see what Twitch chat currently thinks. 579,000 points for MarineLorD, 363,000 for B. So definitely Twitch chat is thinking that it's probably a little bit more favored towards MarineLorD. And I've got to agree. I think MarineLorD's in his comfort zone playing the Chinese. I'm curious what kind of strategy he's going to go for, though, Lidakor. What do you think we see here?
I'm curious. I think both players will think over how game number 1 went first and foremost. I think for MarineLorD, I do see him playing into the Song Dynasty, but I don't think he's going to play greedy. I think he will try to punish with Chukonu at the beginning and play a very opportunistic game like he has done in the previous games as well. See what he can accomplish with some Chukonus. If he feels like B is trying to counter the Song Dynasty by playing greedy himself, he's going to double down on the Chukonu and punish with Rams. If he feels like B is going more aggressive, playing into the Archers, playing into the Knights, he's going to play a very defensive and eco-focused game.
Yeah, I got to agree. I'm looking forward to it because I think MarineLorD, he plays a really solid eco game here. He loves to go for that, +1 upgrades into 3 TC. I don't think as China, going for that 3rd TC really gives you a lot of value. But maybe in the matchup against the Rus, there's a world where it could work. So we'll have to see exactly how he looks to play it. There's lots of wood on this map, which is always a good thing for China. As you always seem to run out of wood as China because you're making so many farms. I think that's a big part of it. But there's plenty of wood here, so hopefully he gets a good spawn. But we're about 5 seconds away from jumping in, Lidakor. Before we get into it, who's your pick? Who do you think's going to take the cake on this game?
I have my money on MarineLorD now. I feel like he is in the zone. We talked about the Civilization matchup for game number 1. Felt like a coin flip. I think MarineLorD now has the edge based on what we have seen in the first 3 games. But that edge, I don't think it's major necessarily. I think with this Civ matchup, with the map, I would say 55-45 MarineLorD.
All right, well, there you go, folks. You've heard it, 55-45 MarineLorD. Will the odds be in his favor? Or will it switch? Will we have the potential for a bit of a sweep to come through? Or at least a reverse sweep? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 4 in your best of 9 grand final series for EGC TV's Elite Classic. Spawning in on the north side of the map in the color blue, currently down 3-0 against MarineLorD. On the Rus, representing 3D, it's B.
And to the south, we have MarineLorD with a 3-0 lead. Some spectacular games from him so far, especially a historical game number 1, which happened with the same civilizations, just reversed. It was MarineLorD with the Rus and B with the Chinese. Aussie, in the pregame we talked about this one. Highview just presents itself for long games very often. Players are hesitant to move out into the Stealth Forest. Oftentimes there is too much risk associated going out there blind. And this is part of the reasons why this map delivers the longest games on average in tournaments. So it's going to be interesting to see whether either of these players, or possibly both, plays into a long game again, like we have seen in game number 1.
Yeah, I've got my suspicions that it probably will. I mean, you're at a very important point in this series, right? Like, as you mentioned before, MarineLorD's 3-0. He wants to get to match point. If he taps out in this game in a position that is even close, he will not forgive himself. He will never do that. He will just go down straight to the wire. And by the same token, B doesn't want to be down 4-0. He's going to really look to make sure that this game is in a very hard to come back state before he resigns. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see this game really go the distance. You could be looking at 1+ hour with this one. So if you haven't already, make sure, go grab something to drink, come back in, sit down, put your legs up, turn the lights off. It's time to get comfy. If you're not already wearing a Snuggie or something, in Australia we've got hoodies. We call them hoodies. That's what we wear. Make sure you chuck that on, and it's time to get ready for some late game entertainment. I can feel it coming. You know what? Now that I've said it, I probably spoiled it. It's a cast a curse. You guys are going to get a 9-minute Juganoo rush by MarineLorD. Anyway, the landmarks are starting to come down right now. We've got the Kremlin for B getting thrown down. Let's take a look at this Kremlin position. It's a decent spot. It covers the wood. It covers the farms. It covers the, I guess technically the kind of, I mean, you're farming venison, right? Well, not really farming it. You're just eating it. But it covers the deers. It covers the gold. It's a good spot, and it's in the front of his base, which is important because that means it gets value, right? If this was in the back of his base and it was covering all these resources, it's not really getting that much value because the risk of it being attacked is quite low. But let's check in over on the other side. MarineLorD yet to put down that first landmark, and I think he may have missed a... Can we just check the tax right now on MarineLorD's mill? I think he may have missed a drop-off here. Can we double-check that? You know, I'm a stickler for the Chinese economy. I got to double-check what that mill's tax is currently sitting at. MarineLorD, have you missed a drop-off, sir? 35? Oh, yeah, not really. I mean, he's a little bit behind, but it's fine. It's fine. Lidakor, what do you reckon about this position so far from the Rus player in the north? He's got a pretty decent Kremlin spot up here. How do you rate it? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I like that a lot. It's an intriguing spot. One of the things that makes it a little redundant is that you have a lot of those forests on the front, so I would anticipate B to wall all of those off, which could make this Kremlin a little obsolete come, let's say, minute 10, 15. But I don't mind it. It's close to a goal. It's going to secure the hunt, secures the back of the wood line. Better to be safe than sorry. So I like it for the time being. As I said, I think it will get a little redundant once the game goes into a deeper stage.
All right. Well, I mean, that's something we haven't really talked much about, the map spawn here for B. Let's get a look at this wood line. Extending all the way from the very top side, or that northwest part of the map. His forest goes down across. Have a look at this. Get a load of this. Look at the size of that, she said. It is huge. Look at it. It doesn't stop. It just keeps going.
That's why I said that this Kremlin is a little interesting, because you could wall this side up so quickly. Having said that, it's not like MarineLorD's base is impossible to wall. In fact, he's got some good spawning forests as well. I would dare to say that MarineLorD has an easier time walling if you look at the entire base. B's got a very easy time walling the left flank, but his eastern side is quite open, so that's going to cost him a little to wall off. Whereas for MarineLorD, those forests are looking pretty juicy for him as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, I think, as you mentioned, right, for B, that whole right side of his base, it's an open book. If MarineLorD wants to come in there and write a story about, you know, fire lancers killing landmarks, he will be able to do that. Whereas MarineLorD's got a pretty easy wall off, right? Like, he walls off that west side of the base. It's going to be easy for him. He walls off the you know, out towards the front. That's easy. And then Barbican covers over on the right. Yeah, I think it's a pretty decent spawn for both of these guys. Not going to lie.
Yeah, just another element of why this map often goes so long. These forests frequently spawn such that it's very difficult to wall your initial base. And when that happens, as we do have B with quite a few idle villas here under the TC, just no sheep back at home to work with. But yeah, with the wall ability being so good on the starting bases so frequently, it's difficult to carve out an early eco advantage off the back of aggression.
Yeah, good call. What we do see now, the militia making their way through. They've got another 6 seconds before they unfortunately, go to a better place. But it's not even going to matter. They get taken out by the town center. Speaking of town center, B already expanding with his town centers. We see that he's picked up the double broad axe as well as the wheelbarrow early on in this game, but the town center early on. So not looking to emulate the MarineLorD build with the +1 upgrades on your horticulture, on your specialized pick. Just going to be sticking it with the good old standard 2TC opening here.
Yeah, he's also going to drop a stable here, so he wants to establish some map presence. He's going to mix in a couple of knights, see if he can get any kind of chip damage on MarineLorD. I think a lot will depend on where MarineLord's second TC goes, and you can see that B has a scout hidden in the Stealth Forest. Looking out on those stone miners, that's so much value for that scout. You know fully well when MarineLorD will start making that second TC based on when he pulls the villagers from the stone. In fact, you will even take a look at the stone mine and see how much stone was taken, which tells B directly how many TCs MarineLorD will go for. It's very likely that it's 2 TCs, right? But you never know.
You never know with MarineLorD, right? Like, I didn't think 3 TC Rus was going to be a thing, but it was. So, I mean, 2 TC Chinese is almost as good as 3 TC Rus is, so I'd be very surprised if he went any longer than 850 stone. But one of the things to note, B has got, on last check, can we have a look and see how many villages he's got on gold? We can change over the UI just so that it represents, instead of gold or a minute, we can check in with the village accounts. But there was an awful lot of gold miners, I thought. Yeah, he's got that's 8 vills on gold. To me, that kind of points towards the prospect of Castle Age here. And if we take a look at his Castle Age, think about a high trade house in this position. You could be looking at like a 500 golder.
I would love a fast castle here from B. You mentioned this before. Chinese 2TC Song Dynasty is just a juggernaut. And when you look at B's position, as you said, a high trade house works well. He can wall his base very effectively. And then he can start playing into horse archers. Just harass MarineLorD, maybe even mix in a couple of knights, and quickly yoink the majority of the relics, which is a critical element of high view gameplay. Oh, knight diving in over here. Gets a villager.
Manages to get it, but the surround comes through. He's trying his best. He manages to get the block. Oh, he's trapped between nothing. He gets out and he's absolutely fine. It wasn't even close. Don't worry about it, guys. Manages to survive on just an inch of health. Look at that. But the scout did go down in the midst of it. What was the... I had something that I wanted to point out. I can't remember exactly what it was. It's gone. It's escaped me. So we'll have to move on and move forward. Oh, yeah. Bounty. How much bounty do we have on B at the moment? Can we quickly check that? I know we're 9 minutes through the game, so it's always a bit risky when we're hitting that little button down there to go check the other game mode or the other mode, but I'd suspect he's probably sitting on 250 plus right at this point. Like, he'd have to be.
At 280. Just what he needs to get the tier 2 unlocks.
All right, so 280 bounty. Pretty decent, right? It's 200 more than you need in a game like this. MarineLorD finally going to throw down a wall on the backside. And I think B's heading castle.
Yeah, he is. And he does that with a villager lead. That's so critical. You mentioned this. His second TC was lightning fast. Now he's moving out. I wonder what the plan is here. What is he up to?
Wooden Fortress Springald spam? Maybe?
Oh, creeping up in the shadows. That's going to be difficult for MarineLorD to spot. Now, MarineLorD does have 2 scouts. One of them is close by. But if he can sneak up a tower here, that's going to be so annoying for MarineLorD to deal with. Those wooden fortresses, they have so much HP. When you have so little army as MarineLorD does, getting rid of them is a nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, this could be a big problem, because think about it from the perspective of MarineLorD. What food sources does he have available to him right now? He's got the deer that he's taking. He's got these berries back here. And he's got the berries in his main base. And that's about it. I mean, he can come out from it. High trade house. Oh, it's there. It's absolutely beautiful. This is going to be amazing. What's your estimate? How much gold? I mean, we're on that 250 bounty, so it's not going to be quite that 500 yet. But what's your number, Lidakor?
I'm going 210.
Oh, he got spotted. Oh, massive mistake from B. But he's got the army there. It's fine. He's just got a couple of knights, but the units are going to come down. The outpost, he's got so many vills building this. How many vills are you talking about right now? Is that 8 vills down there?
I think so.
Get out of town.
He's going very aggressive over here. I would not be shocked if these guys continued on with something else here, like a forward production building, maybe Siege Workshop or something along those lines. He doesn't want a long game here. He wants to play aggro. Now he's pulling 12 militias. He's going to swing in from the north. And you see, MarineLorD has been cut off from this source of food. Wouldn't be surprised to see those militias heading to the other patch of hunt that's available for MarineLorD.
When he ages up 205 on the mark, Lidakor, question, does he get the shadow tech from these? Oh, he does. He gets the shadow tech immediately. He pulled the militia, and now they get the upgrade while they're out here. So they're now castle age militia in the base, in the face of MarineLorD, and now he scrambles to make a defense, and boy, oh boy, is this tough to come back from. Look how many units are in his base right now.
Well, he's got the Chukanus, will sacrifice one scout over here, but DC Fire plus Chukanus just evaporate all these militias. And MarineLorD, to credit him, he lost one villager in this entire game. There's a second one that will be picked off, but that's all. Given the circumstances, this is as good as it gets for MarineLorD.
Yeah, it was a decent hold from him here. Meanwhile, down towards that south side, let's take a look and see exactly what the plan is for that wooden fortress. I suspect there's been a sprinkled emplacement or two that's come through. Looks like, at the moment, there it is. Castle turrets coming in. So he's shut down the food on the south side, and he's beginning to take the berries. Where does that leave MarineLorD on the food front? Like, it's quite literally just the berries in front of his base, right?
He could go to the hunt on the left side as well. I think the issue here for MarineLorD is the timing. He still has food, but this comes at a very bad time. A time in which B is working to gain more map control, get the relics. Now the Chukanus will make their way all the way up north over here. So MarineLorD, for first time in this game, can start picking up some villagers. And to credit him, B's got no army. MarineLorD is at 33-7, and we talked about this in the pregame. MarineLorD will play an opportunistic game. If B goes greedy, MarineLorD will double down with the Chukanus, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, now the villager's going to get pulled to deal with the battering rams, but the Chukanus coming in to loop around. No sprinkled emplacement, so should be able to deal with the majority of this pressure quite easily. MarineLorD should. Now behind, we see the Knights looking to make a connection with the Chukanu. Managed to do so. They're going to look to try and focus down the villagers while they're still alive. Definitely a bold choice here from B. But that villager count, and we hear the sprinkled emplacement actually coming through. Wants to try and keep this outpost alive. If he can keep it alive, the sprinkled emplacement's going to make magic work down here. But unfortunately, it looks like the battering ram will get off the final attack, and a huge amount of resources invested into that wooden fortress will go down.
Oh my lord. Are we again seeing a MarineLorD comeback? It looked grim for him for a long time. Beaten to Castle Age, deprived of food, lost a couple of villagers to the militias as well, but now he outnumbers his opponent 2-1 on the army department. He is still yet to get to Castle Age, but his eco is there. If he can get to Castle here, I think he's in a good spot.
I think you've hit the money or the nail on the head right there with that. Like, it's been a solid defense. And now MarineLorD's starting to transition into farms. He's managed to secure the food on the back line. I think he's okay. What are the outs here for B? Because he hasn't gone for 3 TC, so he's not scaling on the economy. He's lost a lot of villagers as well, so he's already behind 14, and it's just going to get worse. Remember, every minute that goes on through this, MarineLorD's making 8 villagers, whereas B's only making 6. So in 10 minutes' time, MarineLorD's going to be miles ahead compared to where B will be.
Yeah, now B could compensate for his eco deficit with relics, but he's only just now getting the first one. So that's not a lightning-fast relic, given his Castle Age timing. He, of course, does have the Hydrate House to compensate a tiny bit. But as you said, as much as we said that the timing was so good for B to cut off MarineLorD from food, now this is really good timing for MarineLorD to just have this military advantage, because B cannot really punish, despite the fact that he's got Castle Age advantage.
Speaking of Castle Age advantage, we start to hear those relics get picked up. The sacred site in the center of the map was triggered, but that was barely all he wanted. He just wanted to get his hands on those relics, or maybe his hooves on those relics, considering he's got warrior monks. It's him pulling out warrior monks everywhere at the moment. MarineLorD's got walls on these relics for the moment. Now holding on to the front line. The feudal age army is building. MarineLorD with no sign of an age up in sight. Still dealing with that farm transition back at home, stacking up the wood. More than 1,500 wood per minute coming in for him. That's 20 farms every minute he can throw down if he wished to. That's a lot of farms. Big push continuing to come in. Knights are getting shredded, though. Shukanu with their upgrader dealing plenty of damage as they beat down on the militia. More villagers going to be exposed here. He picks up a couple of freebies there on the front line. Knights still clawing away at the Shukanu, but the numbers are just so solid from MarineLorD. He's got 43 Shukanu on the field. He's got 14 in queue. There's no way he falls to this.
Oh my lord, I think B went way too bloodthirsty. He had a lot of knights. He felt like he could overpower, but slowly but surely those Shukanu ground down the HP of those knights, and you see all of them evaporated. B was up to 11 knights, now he's down to 3. He's got 14 army as opposed to 50 Shukanus. And MarineLorD knows this. MarineLorD says, okay, I won't race with you to Castle Age. I will just go battle to the metal and push this. MarineLorD has gotten siege engineering about 5 minutes ago. He can go for rams straight away. You see, he's banking up wood. The next step for him is gonna be pushing the base of B in a feudal age scenario with the rams.
Yeah, this army is absolutely massive for MarineLorD at the moment, and I think it was so smart. You know, when the key to becoming like a really good player is just all in decision making, right? Like micro doesn't mean a lot, macro is pretty important, but decision making is the key. And we can just see like a point where MarineLorD lost this game was if he decided to go Castle Age, because he died to that push. But he didn't. He's got so many units out, and he just knew right now is when I need to make units, and that's what gives him such a huge advantage now, because he overwhelms B. He manages to stay alive. He keeps everything surviving. He's having a great time. And now, speaking of survival, the battering ram's going to come down and look to end the survival of B's south outpost down here.
And we are just seeing some signature MarineLorD gameplay elements here. First, a very reactive but very clean game. He takes a look at what his opponent is doing and responds perfectly. As you said, he didn't go Castle Age. He just doubled down, and that was the great response that he needed against B's forces. And also, him being outstanding in the defense, something that helped him so much throughout this entire tournament. B was very relentless with that aggression, but MarineLorD's defense is something else. He's so good when his back is against the wall.
Yeah, it's really impressive to watch. Normally when you've got a big army like this, what you do is you rally your units to it. But instead, he rallies it back home just to keep his base safe. And we can see the counterattack from B just gets shut down in the blink of an eye. MarineLorD says, it's not happening. Don't even try. And look at the numbers now. He's up to 76 Shukanu. He's not even interested in going up to Castle Age. He's got all that he needs in the Feudal Age. Now catching some more villagers unawares over on this northwest side of the map. Speaking of Castle Age, you know, we talked about the prospect of never going to it. Well, MarineLorD says, actually, Drongo, it's time. I've hit 190 out of the 200 population I've got available, and I need to do something else with my resources, so I'm going to age up. Fair enough, MarineLorD. That's a good reason to do it.
Going pop cap in Feudal Age. Now, how frequently do you say that, Aussie?
It's pretty rare. It is pretty rare, especially at this level to see it. But now look at the upgrades coming through. We've got veterancy on the Shukunus, veterancy on the Spearmen. Expect to see supervision coming through on these upgrades soon, so he's got them in even sooner. I'd be looking for +2 ranged attack as well. It's going to be quite effective for him here. But still, at this point, I mean, the numbers are just incredible, aren't they, Lidakor? This is insane.
And once you have the Castle Age upgrades come in, the veteran Shukanu, the Castle Age blacksmith techs for these guys, it's a different story. We got 72 Shukanu on the field. B couldn't beat this army with a Castle Age advantage. Now it's even techs. If B couldn't beat it up until now, he won't find a chance to take it down either.
MarineLorD still ahead on the eco as well. Keep in mind he's got an advantage at the moment of 17 villagers, which is pretty significant because a lot of these guys are getting supervised out here. Obviously the wood villagers on the side of the Rus have got that 20% improvement, but MarineLorD's got 20% for everything. That's a massive difference, but now having a little bit of a struggle on the front line. The knight numbers beginning to build. The veterancy for the Shukanu has come in. +2 has also come through, so these guys are going to be dealing their maximum DPS, and you can see them shredding through the archers on the enemy side as +2 ranged armor has come through for B, so he's got everything he needs to defend against this attack. But look at the infantry mass now from MarineLorD as he brings everything to the front and says, you want to fight? Let's do it. I'll bring it all, baby. And he just overwhelms his enemy at the moment. A little bit of kiting coming through. Still doing a decent job. Not, you know, normally at this point, people would just be saying, oh, well, that's it. I'm not gonna micro. I don't need to. I've got the overwhelming numbers. Yet still this guy finds time to micro.
Oh my lord, MarineLorD is taking such a cost-effective engagement here. He cleaned up all the knights. Second wave comes in, but many of them are heavily battered. And he still has a handful of spears out there, just caught in the middle of that battlefield. B is trying to focus them down, but every once in a while they do get some hits in on those knights. Knights now disappeared. Some militias are being levied in here, but it looks like the archers will be cleaned up. Nest of Bees joins the fun as well. And B, he's going to be routed from this battle. It's 167 population against 130. I don't know, Aussie. I feel like things are falling apart for our blue player here.
I got to agree with you. It's starting to look really scary. Can I just compliment MarineLorD on the micro there? I don't know if you guys were watching that one closely, but oh my god, was that a pleasure to watch. 3 knights all came in, relatively low health. MarineLorD splits his Zhukunu into 3 separate groups and focuses down each one individually, killing them all within half a second of each other. What a pleasure. What a pleasure to witness that, even from such a position of power in his army advantage. He still goes to that extent to micro. Absolutely beautiful stuff. If there's anybody who deserves to win today, it is a man with micro like that. That was just textbook.
Yeah, MarineLorD is having some unreal gains over here. Now he's got insane momentum, 49 army against 20. He's got the cost age upgrades in, he's got some battering rams. He can start working away on the production buildings, the houses. And despite the fact that the base of B is technically well defendable, I do not know how he's going to hold this. He's just now coming up with a siege workshop, so it will take some time for him to get a mangonel going. And behind this, MarineLorD is bringing in more reinforcements. He's got a 20 villager lead. I don't know, Aussie. It looks so grim for B.
The problem is, Zhukunu do very well against mangonels. I know a lot of people think, oh, that can't be right. The mangonel, you know, counters the Zhukunu. Well, the Zhukunu just walk up to the mangonel and just kill it with kindness. Well, not really kindness. It's their arrows, but they've got kindness written on the side, so technically you're killing them with kindness. But it definitely feels like MarineLorD may have pushed up a little bit too far at the moment. Losing the nest of bees there. A little bit of a mistake, but the Springald going to be coming out behind this as well.
Yeah, this is deceiving for B. He may feel like he has pushed this one back, but behind this, MarineLorD completed a full farm transition. In fact, he started banking up so many resources that for a brief moment Imperial Age became a reality. Looks like he's just going to double down on this push though, switching into Palace Guards, stop making Chukunus. He's mostly facing archers now, and when the Palace Guards arrive, it's going to be so difficult for B to deal with them.
Yeah, you can see the numbers continuing to come in through this little choke point now. Meanwhile, look on the minimap. MarineLorD spamming out the Palace Guards. Expect to see a lot of problems on this side of B when those Palace Guards arrive. He's got archers. They do pretty well against spears, against Zhukunu, but against Palace Guards, that's going to be a different story. And look at those barracks. He is spamming like crazy. All right, the farms transition is complete for MarineLorD. I guess with the Chinese, the farm transition never really ends, right? Like you're always moving towards that 85 farm number for the Chinese. It gets a little bit crazy when you're in the Imperial Ages China and you just need more and more food. You know, you got a big empire, you need to fuel it.
Oh, the Palace Guard just coming clutch here. And you see B is losing way too much. MarineLorD destroyed 50% more value than what he lost. It's not just the fact that now he has that eco-juggernaut of the Chinese, it's the fact that throughout this game, he has been taking more and more cost-effective engagements, and it's unlikely to change at this point.
Yeah, it is becoming a real grind out here in the middle, isn't it? I mean, you've got to be super careful about how you control these units. You can see MarineLorD, instead of focusing down the knights with his Zhukunu, he's focusing the backline archers. And the problem is that slowly but steadily, the Palace Guard numbers are building up. And once they build up enough, like they've done now, it's not the army that you've got to worry about. It's the villagers you've got to worry about, because these guys start streaming through your wood line to your gold mine, and now you've got trouble.
Love the addition of the crossbows as well. This is something you point out so frequently. Shukanus and crossbows look very similar, so it's hard for B to target down the crossbows individually. And when you have a couple of crossbows, they can just evaporate all those knights like we see them do.
Meanwhile, it looks like the wood line has been opened up there by B. A little bit of a mistake. Maybe not a mistake, but a little bit of an oversight there. Mangonel shot comes in off the top rope. Looks to try and take out some of this backline. MarineLorD not paying any attention, but never mind. He picks it up. Mangonel trying its best to unpack, repack, unpacks, repacks. The Springald comes out and says, "Good night, sweet prince. It was a pleasure getting to deal with you, my friend." This is really coming down to the wire, though. I mean, B is on the back foot, but he's holding for the moment. You can see he's scrambling to put up the defense. Less than 1,000 resources in the bank. He just keeps spending it non-stop. But Jukuno, if they find their way onto this wood line, that's a lot of villagers. He's already lost 22 this game. If he takes out any more, it's going to be the nail in the coffin. And that Springald at point-blank distance goes down to the Mangonel, as well as the Mangonel. But now that wood line is really threatened. Nesta B's firing off. Lidakor, is there any way that B gets back into this?
One thing is sure, he's going to try. His tournament life is on the line right now. He doesn't want to fall down 4-0 and let MarineLorD get to match point in this best-of-9 finals. You said this before. Given the circumstances, he is holding well, but I feel like things are just going to get more grim with MarineLorD now dropping a keep on the front. The Nest of Bees will be sniped by the Knights, but Palace Guard, actually gets a nice volley out, damaging a lot of the archers. Here comes the castle. Mangonel slowly working his way up to the front, but will be focused down by the Palace Guards. Just a never-ending slugfest over here in the middle of B's base, Aussie.
Yeah, for the last 7 minutes, it has been non-stop, but MarineLorD has built up a score lead. He's holding on the villager lead, and good game gets called. MarineLorD takes it to match point. In the 4th game, we may have a sweep on our hands, ladies and gentlemen. This man looks unstoppable tonight.
What a series do we have over here. MarineLorD is playing out of his mind, and B, every single game he just falls behind by the tiny details. You look back at that Springald Tower, the wooden fortress that B attempted. If it's just a single tile more to the back into the Stealth Forest, MarineLorD may never have spotted it. It could have done a lot more damage. And all these things just culminating in a slow build-up of a lead for MarineLorD. Every single game, the small details just favor him, and that's why he's leading 4-0 right now, Aussie.
The man is a destruction. That was incredible. I mean, it was textbook. He's really played. He's performed absolutely well tonight. This is a tough night for B. Going into any set, it's a best of 9. Going into it down 4-0. Match point is upon you. I mean, what does B need right now to lift?
I'm trying to be positive here, Aussie, but the first word that comes into my mind is a miracle. The problem is that when you're down 2-0, 3-0 in a best of 9, it's something that you can come back from. But let's take a look at where we are right now. MarineLorD leading 4-0. MarineLorD has 3 home maps remaining, including the one that's coming up, Lipany. One misstep from B, and it's over. From now on, he cannot play the usual style he loves to play, that high-risk, high-reward style, because he cannot take risks anymore. That's the biggest thing here for B. With MarineLorD being on match point, it removes arguably the strongest element of B's gameplay. That's the unpredictability and the out-of-the-box strategies, because now you cannot risk it. Although, there is a way for B to approach this that's different. He could say, okay, I'm down 4-0. From now on, it's YOLO. I just don't care. I will try the most YOLO play I can think of, see where it goes. If I lose, I lose.
Yeah, that's another way to look at it. He's playing the Abbasid. We've seen him... Yeah, we saw him play against, was it MarineLorD's French earlier? So playing up against the English now. It's going to be tough. I mean, Lipany's a good map for it. But against a civ like the English feel really safe. And with MarineLorD piloting it, you'd have to think he's favored coming into this. After winning 4-0 the first 4 games, there's 2 different ways you could look at it. You could say, well, it's that classic flipping a coin. I flipped the coin 4 times before. It landed heads every single time. So it's going to land heads this 5th time. But that is a fallacy right there. But also you might have the other side, which is saying, well, I flipped the coin 4 times in a row and it landed heads. So the chance that it lands tails this next time is incredibly high, right? It can't be heads again. And that's a gambler's fallacy. So which way is it going to go? Well, we just have to wait and see, I guess.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect time to mention that the story and, competitive AoE4 is not over with the Elite Classic. Starting next week, we do have a 2-week event, a 2v2 event, the Africa Duos. And after this set, we will show you the team drafts out there, so you do want to stay tuned. And also, big shout out goes to Anonymous Donator for $300 being dropped. Thank you so much for supporting EGC TV. Huge dono.
Damn.
Thank you so much.
That's massive. Anonymous. Who are you? We'll never know because you're anonymous. But thank you very much. That's a lot of money, man. When you think about that converted over, because you got to remember that when you donate something to Twitch, or when you donate like some subs as an example, that's a lot of money that's going over to the creator. But Twitch takes a cut of that. When a donation happens, 100% of that goes to the creator. So that's the equivalent of like 100 gifted subs right there in Twitch money. So anonymous, thank you. That's massive.
Thank you indeed. We have 2 minutes left to go. Again, the draft for the Africa duos will be revealed after this set. 16 team captains have chosen their partners from pro players, and I can tell you there are going to be some surprising teams, some very intriguing teams, but it's definitely something that you want to stay tuned for after the grand finals here.
Are we going to get to see it now, Lidakor, or do we have to wait until after?
You gotta wait for it. Come on. There's a set to be played here. Possibly 5 more games.
Okay, is it possible that the Viper is going to be? No, he wouldn't. He's too slippery. Trying to think of other people that I'm a fan of. No one else. That's it. Never mind. All right, we got 90 seconds to get into it. If you haven't already, actually, have we got the prediction up yet for this next game? Let me have a look here. We do. Ooh, don't look at the prediction if you're a B fan. I'll say that much right now. B stocks have fallen to an all-time low.
Best time
today.
to bet. Odds are great.
That is true. That's technically true. You can't lose. It's not a loss if you don't cash out. But we will be cashing out at the end of this. Keep that in mind. Wow. Okay. Lidakor, is this going to be a 5-0?
I'm leaning towards it, Aussie. I had to take a very deep breath to say it, but it's not like B has been playing badly. I feel like the issue here for B is that he cannot just look back at the previous games and look at what did I do wrong? What is the thing I fix? I feel like B is playing his best game, so does MarineLorD, and right now, MarineLorD's best game is beating B's best game. That's why I'm leaning towards MarineLorD for game number 5. I feel like B is giving everything he has. I just do not know if it is enough to turn it around against MarineLorD.
He is climbing Mount Improbable at the moment. It's going to be a tough game for him. On the Abbasid against the English. I hear those beautiful noises of nature in my ear. The waterfalls flowing.
Yeah, but before that, huge shout out to De Santiago for another $100 of support. Thank you again for your continued support of EGC TV. In we go to game number 5. Match point for MarineLorD. He's 1 win away from being the champion of the Elite Classic.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We're here. Game number 5. This could be it. It comes down to this right now. If there's ever been a time to be cheering for somebody who needs your support, it is now. B needs your support. So if you're a B fan, let me see it in the chat right now. Let me get some ones if you're a B fan. Let me see it right now. Ladies and gentlemen, in the north of the map, on the Abbasid Dynasty, the color blue representing Clan 3D. It is B, and look at all those ones in the chat, Lidakor. I tell you what, there are some B fans out here who believe.
And look at what MarineLorD is up to. Taking one out of B's book of strategies, goes out for the board with the English. We have seen this done by B on Mountain Clearing, but it's not something that you commonly see on a map like Lipany. Lovely approach here from MarineLorD. He's got the English wills, nothing that B can do to threaten them in Dark Age. And talk about the juicy spot. Not only is he grabbing the boar, he's going to have the deer as well. Goes for survival techniques right away.
Yeah, this is a great move by MarineLorD. So tough to counter this as well, right? Like, you've got that extra food immediately. It's the faster gathering food. Incredible stuff already. But this is going to be a difficult game for him. Down 4-0 in this series. We're on match point. If there's ever been a time to lift, it is right now for B. MarineLorD, I know he's got plenty of support behind him, so I'm not even going to have to ask you about it, but what are the chances here, do you think, Lidakor? Is B in with a shot? Does this go to a 6th game, potentially?
I feel like it depends on how crazy B is going to go. We talked about this one in the pregame. I feel like B has played his best in the first 4 games. It's just the fact that MarineLorD's best outplayed B's best. B thrives in chaotic games the most. There's a lot of risk associated playing chaotic now, with MarineLorD being at match point. But if not now, then when? I feel like for B, he just needs to throw out some of his craziest tricks, see if it works or not. There is basically no difference losing 5-0 or 5-1, let's say. Let's go YOLO, see what you can accomplish with it, take it one game at a time. You gotta win this to get game number 6.
Well, speaking of crazy strategies, watch out, guys. It is happening. Economic wing. It's about as standard as Abbasid games come. The economic wing, but it can still get pretty crazy. We may see a second town center. We may see a third town center. Or we may even see... What if we saw, like... I remember watching demo games on the Abbasid when he likes to meme. And you know that guy likes to meme. I remember seeing, like, 12 town centers. Just for the memes. It's not going to happen today, but we could see maybe 4 TCs, maybe? Something like that. Maybe? Probably not. Anyway, on the other side of the map, we've got the Council Hall coming up for MarineLorD, and he opts to keep this in his base. Now, one thing to note is when you throw the Council Hall down in the base, that leaves all of these villagers out here on the boar and the deer. These guys are still collecting, so MarineLorD's going to sit with a huge surplus of food throughout the early stages of the feudal age. I'm curious to see exactly what he does to nullify that. Whether he maybe moves into Spearman a little bit earlier than what he would normally would. We'll have to wait and see, though. Oh, you there?
Okay, we back. All good.
Wait, we were gone?
Well, I was gone, apparently.
I didn't... I see a couple of robots in the chat. Drongo breaking, Drongo fix audio, Drongo F. Can I blame it on Discord?
Possibly, although I think chat didn't hear me either, so there could be something wacky in there. Anyways, we're back, so all is well.
Weird.
Luckily, this happened in Dark Age.
Yeah, good thing it happened in the Dark Age, 4 minutes and 20 seconds through this game rather than through our 69-minute game earlier. All right. Lida, are you still there?
Yep, I am.
All right.
All right,
That's good to hear.
Second DC.
I am also here. I'm not intentionally speaking like a robot. That's just how I talk sometimes. But yeah, second TC. Are you surprised to see this after the Eco Wing opening?
I'm not surprised. I'm just a little disappointed. I feel like we talked about this. Oh, that's a beautiful surround. Gets the kill on the scout. Talk about a clutch play by B. But yeah, looking back at the previous games, I feel like this is just a little too passive from B. I wanted to see a little bit more spiciness. I wanted to see something crazier. I feel like playing Standard has not worked against MarineLorD in the first 4 games, or at least didn't give B the results that he wanted, and I do not know if it's going to work here in game number 5.
Yeah, I feel the same way, but I would also say that, you know, look, a lot of people say, you know, when it comes to spice, don't use too much. But I feel like when you're playing as the Abbasid, the Eco Wing is very much that, you know, that passive spice. But you can still get spicy. You want to mix a little bit of cumin in there, you definitely can. Go for 3 TCs, go for 4 TCs. Don't be afraid to spam out the TCs. You've got Fertile Crescent on your side. All right, numbers starting to build now. For MarineLorD. You know, Lidakor, every time I don't hear you in my headset now, I start to get scared that I'm just like becoming
I'm here.
Okay.
Believe me,
Hold my
I'm
hand.
here.
All right,
A lot of spears, a lot of archers, not a single military unit out there for B. So this is a little concerning if you're B. Sure enough, with good micro and quick reactions, you can pull away the vills. I feel like the issue that B will suffer from here is that he's going to have a lot of idle time that will just essentially remove the villager or eco lead that he currently has. He doesn't have army, so he keeps running away, or he will have to keep running away with the villagers to make sure they don't get picked apart.
All right, well, the numbers starting to build now. For MarineLorD, the double broadaxe is already through, so expect to see him play a little bit longer in the feudal age, though we did see him go for a double broadaxe in a town center build earlier. But Take a look at this, herding towards the town center. This TC on the bottom side for B is absolutely chef's kiss. But what do we got there? An outpost, and that's on the inside of the gold mine, not on the outside of the gold mine. So that's not going to defend against longbows. That could be very awkward for B on this top side. MarineLorD, I tell you what, he's doing well this game already. Yeah, Vodka pointing it out. There's a nice little spot, a nice little nook where you can comfortably sit and just hit those villagers with impunity.
Love the play from B, though, when it comes to working his way towards an additional amount of zone. That's going to help getting arrow slits on that tower, possibly a third TC. But he realized that the point of focus for MarineLorD is the northern side, so he's going to shift all his eco to that little corner on the east. And this might be a little challenging for MarineLorD to push. There is a wall down here. He will spot the stable, though. Might actually pick the villager before the stable is complete.
Yeah, he wants it. You can see him moving in right now. He's trying to find a way through, but still no villagers just yet. But an outpost comes down. He's going to... He said the first one, probably a little bit too aggressive. Let's get rid of it. Let's make it a little bit further back. Definitely a wise choice. Otherwise, you risk a bust coming in. But now B, I mean, he's still yet to make a single military unit. He's got an archer in queue, but MarineLorD's up to 22 military on the field. B, he's got nothing. He's got a scout. That's it.
Yeah, the worrisome detail for B is that he is going to have a lot of idle time on him. He has 8 villagers of a lead, but when you look at the overall ecos, it's almost better for MarineLorD. That's because these longbows are doing so much when it comes to idling that eco. And when that eco is idle, or at least half of the eco is idle for B, it's going to be challenging to afford those horsemen, get the upgrades in from the blacksmith. And you see MarineLorD is already getting the upgrades. He's going to go for the defense upgrade first. He's going to break through the wall on the south. He's going to have a tower up here as well. And I do anticipate him to start working towards Rams. I feel like the buildup of army for B is just a little too slow. And he might be heavily outnumbered here when MarineLorD begins his push.
Yeah, the early iron undermesh is really nice for MarineLorD. This means he can get under that TC and not be too afraid of the damage that it's going to put out. At the same time, he'll be looking for +1 ranged attack as well. That'll give him a bit more potency on his strikes here. So we can expect that soon, or expect that through shortly. But now a couple of villagers going to be moving out here. I'm not sure what the intention is with these villagers, but they're just going out for a little bit of a kiss. And unfortunately, they get kissed in the face with some arrows. 2 vills going down. B playing well in the early game, but at the 9th minute, it seems to start falling apart.
Yeah, tower is going to be completed, and I think he just wanted to re-wall that section that the scout torched down. Didn't see the longbows until they appeared through the walls. So he got caught off guard by them. 2 villagers go down. He's got a lead of 10, and horseman numbers are rising. He's going to try to focus down the reinforcements here. No spearmen to accompany them, but you got to be cautious. You cannot afford to lose either the scout or the horseman. You need every single man that you can levy in B's position.
Yeah, now I'm curious whether MarineLorD looks to start moving into men-at-arms here. This is normally around the number of longbows that you see on the field before those men-at-arms come out. That's enough to start really defending them. And we can see that villager once again coming out to wall will get picked off, and will leave a segment of wall exposed, and B will be under pressure through that angle once again.
He's floating a lot of resources, a lot of food, a lot of gold, and that's a bad time to float resources. You either need to turn that into army, or you need to turn that into castle age. I just don't feel like he's going to have the timing for castle. He will try going for it, but we talked about this previously. With the Abbasids, it's going to take so much time to get to castle. And I think the timing for MarineLorD here will be perfect. He's going to hit B as he's going up to castle. Rams are coming up in a second for MarineLorD. And when that happens, he will lose the production buildings. This is a good pickup here by B, intercepting quite a lot of longbows, but there is the military wing on the way. If MarineLorD times this right, he's going to be crowned the champion of this tournament.
There's a part of me that believes at the moment. So a single mangonel could turn the tide here. MarineLorD hasn't gone into the men-at-arms yet, and they are the one unit that could probably challenge a mangonel if it was sitting underneath a town center. B continues to come out onto the map and disrupt these reinforcements. We can see now that there's a handful of spears back here with the longbows back at home. B going to run into them all. Tries to pick off a villager, sacrificing a couple of those horsemen. Unfortunately, not managing to pick up anything. But this push is going to be a slow one. MarineLorD doesn't have a huge amount of wood income. And the wood that he does have, he needs to spend it on units. Like, the Spearman and the Longbow.
He wasn't building it, Aussie. He wasn't building the ram, and that's precious seconds lost over there. B tried to send those horsemen to his base to distract him, to buy some time for Castle Age, but MarineLorD just lost a couple of seconds over here not building that ram. He's gonna turn this on in a second, but it's only 30 seconds remaining on that timer.
Yeah, there's not long to go. And that's definitely part of it, right? Like, you can't rush up the age up. It's got 20 seconds left on it. If you could, you would, but you can't. But one of the things that you can do is you can look to front load a mangonel. Take a look at the resources B's got, though. There's not enough resources in the bank to make that mangonel. He's only got 2 archers on the field.
Oh, that's crazy. MarineLorD will find the gold miners here. It's only 3 spears. He won't be able to massacre them, but this is giving him valuable intel. He's also taking down the stables, taking out the lancers from the equation. Looks like camel riders will be on the field here for B thanks to the military wing, and it looks like the spearmen are just slaying the vills. B is yet to react.
Yeah, he's lost 7 villagers now throughout this game. Men-at-Arms going to be coming through for B. Keep in mind we're on the old patch here, so these are yet to be those ghoul arms that you will see in Season 5. For the moment, just going to stick it out with the Men-at-Arms. MarineLorD yet to add in his own Men-at-Arms, though. This is interesting. He's really just sticking it to the spears. Spears and longbow. Good old-fashioned combo. Now the Men-at-Arms are out for B. Keep in mind, B is up 16 villagers at this point. Even though he's lost villagers, he's still up villagers. He's got that eco wing, so even if he loses the town center, he can still invest in a secondary TC with minimal investment. So this is, you know, it's still not over yet. The fat lady is still not singing.
He needs to reach that critical mass of men-at-arms before he can fight this, but he's got so much idle time. Half of his eco are just running for their lives, and he's losing a lot of precious production buildings as well. The second TC is gone, but he needs to find a solution to the men-at-arms, as you said. Numbers now up to 8 with 4 more in queue for B. He even has a couple of camel riders over here, plus a lancer.
Yeah, trying his best to do work, but the spearman numbers are still holding for MarineLorD. He's only got 9 out at the moment. Men-at-Arms making their way down, and we can see the ranged armor has come through for B. He's got +1 ranged armor, +2's about to come in. And keep in mind, these guys, they take a lot of damage to kill, but the King's Palace will come up back at home for MarineLorD. He's looking to try and focus down these men-at-arms. +2 ranged armor about to come in. When it does, it's going to make it a very difficult task for MarineLorD to fight against these men-at-arms. So he holds on with a little bit longer. 12 villagers, the difference between the two. It's not an untenable position at this point. I still think B's in this game with a shot.
He is. He's got this ability to counterattack, and right now he's got the tech lead. But once Imperial Age comes in for Castle Age rather, comes in for MarineLorD, he will be able to pop out crossbows quickly from the King's Palace. Once he gets the upgrade for the longbows, once he's got a couple of crossbows in there, things will start going in his favor. He's mixing in a couple of men-at-arms as well. B needs to make something happen over here. He needs to do damage to this army. He's got the eco, but if that army gets upgraded to Castle Age units, he's going to struggle.
Yeah, you definitely on the point with that. Keep in mind that when you upgrade your longbows to the veteran longbows, they get a +2 damage bonus, not a +1 like archers, a +2, which is huge because it now means instead of dealing 1 damage against these men-at-arms, you're dealing 3. Then you get +2 ranged attack on top of that, and now you're dealing 4 damage. So quadruple the damage you were doing just, 10 seconds ago, that sort of thing. And look how easily he's able to dispatch of these men-at-arms. MarineLorD still in a decent spot here. Still behind on the villagers, though, but the TCs have been evened up. In fact, not just evened up, but surpassed. MarineLorD now with the advantage on scale.
Yeah, don't forget that B lost his second TC, and now MarineLorD has his own. So B is going to have to rebuild the second TC, otherwise MarineLorD will take over on the villager con. And look at the idle time for B. He's got 29 idles out of 60 villagers. Half of his eco is idled non-stop. MarineLorD's momentum will shrink a little with the farm transition commencing, but the longbows are creeping up, and this could be devastating for B.
Yeah, you can see all those vills are up on the gold vein towards the north. MarineLorD knows it. He comes up towards that spot. Now, he didn't realize earlier when the spears were just whacking away. Let's see. Never mind. MarineLorD's just going to give him the heads up and attack from range. Doesn't walk up into point blank like we saw him do earlier today. Instead, manages to just to get a couple of villagers and heads up towards that north side. He's going to keep kiting himself out Beautiful micro coming out from him, splitting up the longbows into different groups here. Now focusing down those men-at-arms one by one. Dealing out so much damage here. Who needs crossbows when you've got guys like these?
Yeah, and those longbows in such huge groups, they do a lot of damage. You see, those men-at-arms, they are pricey units. They slowly get ground down over there. The destroyed value is rising very rapidly here for MarineLorD, and this is as good as it gets for him. He's doing a lot of damage, now gets a knight into the wood line of B, and B, he's just struggling to keep himself together at this point. So much idle time, the men-at-arms are gone, and MarineLorD takes over with the villager lead.
Yeah, this is an impactful moment because all of a sudden you've gone from a situation where B had the villager advantage, had the TC advantage. MarineLorD's bridged the gap now. He's got that villager advantage and he's got the TC advantage. And this is where it gets really difficult for B because he had outs before. He had ways that he could win. But slowly it feels like MarineLorD is grinding him down to a pulp.
Oh my lord, men-at-arms once again coming in, but you see, they just get picked apart by the longbows. This is extremely inefficient for B at this point. And MarineLorD, he will now just focus the archers. Behind this, he's starting to mix in some knights, and he loses a handful of longbows, a couple more come to reinforce. If anything, he's gaining more strength rather than losing it.
Yeah, look at the villager count for B. It's not going up because he just keeps losing villagers. Throughout those wood lines, the gold veins, everywhere he's just losing them. And he's really struggling at the moment because he's got those villagers on the top side. MarineLorD's going to start to pressure it as well. We see the knight coming in on the bottom, just making sure there's no villagers down here. And there they are once again. This is so tough for B. How does he even hold on to this? He's got composite bows coming through, but even then, sure, you're just going to get kited for days. MarineLorD just looking incredible in this 5th game. He's playing a wonderful day today.
Yeah, it's so immaculate. And again, a reminder, this game is being played on the old patch, so what you see out there are men-at-arms, or what you saw out there, because there is not a single one of them that remains. Those were men-at-arms. Now B is just playing into archers. He is going to have the composite bows, and there is no attack buff for right now for MarineLorD. But I feel like the numbers still fancy him here, and he's catching B off guard. Knightos out there to stoke up a lot of arrow fire. And once again, MarineLorD is the one with the momentum.
Yeah, he's really pushing in now. That single knight is going to be enough to just cause so much pain and hardship back here. Now Villager's going to be on the run once again. Another one goes down. MarineLorD is just on the hunt. 63 villagers for B. MarineLorD up by 12 now. It has been non-stop throughout this game, and the knight comes in, hits the big charge onto the front line. You can see the composite bows really starting to come into swing right now with the Abbasid archers, but at the end of the day, the numbers just aren't there for him. He's really struggling to keep units on the field.
A slugfest does not fancy B here. You see his food income, you see his wood income. Especially the food income is what gets alarming for him. He's deprived of the berries, he's yet to make a farm transition. And behind this, MarineLorD has a fully set up farming economy with the English. He can turn that food into longbows. He can start mixing in knights in large quantities. Men-at-arms, easily affordable now for MarineLorD. And you see, that's part of the reason why he's just able to push so well. Once again, contesting those lumberjacks, contesting the gold miners, and B is just getting pushed back more and more.
And now those villagers on the wood line under threat. I'm not sure if B realizes just yet, but you can see that he's got the crossbows out. Let there be no doubt, he will deal with it. But still towards that front line, the longbow numbers are just overwhelming compared to the archers. You can see MarineLorD at about double the population on the military side of B, and he snags the safe relic from directly in front B's base.
Just everything in the favor of MarineLorD now. He's going to have 4 relics back at home. And the thing here is that as much as B is holding, he's not advancing in this game. Not only is MarineLorD the aggressor in this game, he's the one using that map control to his advantage. He completed a farm transition. He's got the relics. He has a lead of 17 villagers now. B, he would need to make a miracle happen here to come back into this. He's down to 300 food per minute. He needs to make a farm transition in a moment where he cannot afford to spend any resources on something other than army.
And that's exactly the problem, is MarineLorD's not letting his foot off the gas. He's just putting on pressure non-stop here, and B was somewhat chasing him out a little bit here. Maybe a bit of a mistake, not realizing that there might be a knight coming in on the other side. But I think the only out here for B is somehow managing to get down a second, a third TC, and then making it to the late game. Maybe even throwing down a keep somewhere But even then, how do you find the resources to do that when you still need the farm transition? You haven't been able to take advantage of the berries here like you normally should be able to do on Lipany as the Abbasid. It's been a tough game. MarineLorD has done really well in this situation.
He did indeed. In fact, the only thing that I would love to see him to just make this position even better is a forward tower. He has been doing this without the attack buff of the English. He could even buff this army up with that. He's going to switch into horsemen now. He's done playing around with those archers. And I think in his position, I would love to see him wait until he has 20 horsemen and then reveal them all at once. He's also banking up a lot of resources. Could you see him going into Imperial here, Aussie?
Yeah, it definitely makes sense, right? Going to Imperial, elite longbows. Elite longbows are so difficult to deal with because of that extra range. It just gives them that much more potency against their counters. Things like the horsemen, things like the knight. With the extra range, it allows them to really bridge that gap with that weakness. So going to Imperial here makes a lot of sense. And he's got plenty of gold in the bank as well, stacked up if he wants to go for those upgrades. And keep in mind, it's only a minute he'd have to stop letting or making those units, and he would have enough food to be throwing it out. But we'd see a pretty big investment going into horsemen at this stage. And throwing down rams, it looks like it's going to be a play towards the feudal age, or rather the castle age instead.
He saw the second TC and he probably thinks, okay, if I stop here, I give a window for B to recover. As you said, MarineLorD needs to be relentless here. He does not want to let B recover. And that's why he is just opting to go for this renewed aggression to the south, once again contesting that TC. He's got the Lancers here, he's got the Longbows, he's got the Rams, and there's just no shot for B to defend this expansion TC.
Villagers on the run now. He's got 10 inside that TC, no room for anybody else. And now Villagers just getting taken out left, right, and center. He's lost 28 so far this game and sits behind about 24 villagers, 25 now. Villagers, the difference between these two. MarineLorD's eco is building up very, very quickly. And now once again, town center completely filled with villagers to the brim. Units that are left, not a whole lot for B, at least not in the base. We've got ourselves a little bit of a base trade. What is going on right here?
B's throwing a Hail Mary at this point. He needs to make something happen. But there is enough back at home for MarineLorD to clean this up. He's got the attack buff, he's got the extra TC. Longbows Horsemen will clean this. And you see B is fleeing to the north with all the lumberjacks. If the knights ever find them, it's all over. And it looks like these archers will be cleaned up. I think we're seconds away from crowning a champion here. MarineLorD slaying all those Veils. I think he's there. He's about to get crowned as the champion of the Elite Classic.
Indeed he is, with 69 military population. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a new world champion. It is MarineLorD. He's back. He's got the crown. He puts it on his head, and he takes a knee down because he's won 5 in a row, and he is undisputed in his power. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating MarineLorD. Lidakor, what an absolutely amazing series we got to see there from MarineLorD. Barely a single mistake from the Frenchman.
What he played today was textbook AoE 4. As you said, barely a single mistake. Every single small thing went in his favor in this series. Right from the get-go. And I feel like we cannot underestimate the importance of that first win in game number 1. That was by far the closest game, the most back-and-forth one. That gave him a tremendous boost of morale, was shattering for B, and I think if B won that first game, this could have been a completely different series. But as you said, MarineLorD puts on a show today, and with both players playing their best games, we just saw how MarineLorD's best day is better than what B can bring to the table on his best day.
Yeah, and I think that's just it, right? Like, there was always the threat that B was the kryptonite for MarineLorD, but today MarineLorD has shown that at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter that B is the kryptonite because MarineLorD's Batman, and Batman's doesn't have a problem with kryptonite. I think it's Superman, right? Clark Kent. So anyway, an incredible series by MarineLorD. Let's just run through those games quickly. Game number 1, we got to see what was probably the most epic game of Age of Empires 4, definitely this year, but almost certainly over the last couple of years. Number 2, Mountain Clearing. Another classic game by MarineLorD with that beautiful Archon in the back of the base. Game number 3, Woodwall. Came through, just relentless with those attacks. Game number 4, the Chinese. Another great game on Highview where he just managed to stay feudal and keep that pressure on. And then game number 5, talk about pressure. We got to see classic English pressure coming out there. Just an absolute field day by MarineLorD. He was having fun.
He was indeed. We'll hear from MarineLorD himself, and after that, we will reveal the civs, or not the civs, but the teams rather, for next week's major event, Africa Duos. But first, let's hear from MarineLorD himself. Let's have a quick chat with the champion of the Elite Classic.
Yo.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, MarineLorD. How you doing? For anybody wondering, we're on Discord at the moment. I can see MarineLorD. MarineLord's got his Rebel Wallalol poster behind him, a giant shark. MarineLorD, you've just eaten the competition alive. How you feeling, mate? Congratulations.
Yeah, I feel pretty good. After this first game, I was not sure where it was going. So winning 5-0 is very surprising to me, especially with this format. I think this format favors the losers when you pick maps, obviously. So I wouldn't expect 5-0 for sure.
Now, looking at your history against B, probably one of the players that found the most success against you in the history of AoE 4, it's B. As you said, you didn't anticipate a 5-0. Before this set, going into this set, what did you think the outcome was going to be? What was your score prediction for this best of 9?
I mean, it was like 5-0 to 5-3, I think. I wouldn't expect to lose more than 3 maps. Maybe, like, if I had to really do a prediction, I would have said 5-1, because I think I would have lost to Rus, but I didn't lose to Rus today, so that was a miracle.
Well, speaking of Rus, let's talk about game number 1.
Yeah.
Game number 1 went for 80 minutes. It was incredible what we got to witness. After you pulled out the victory there, were you feeling confident it was just going to be that, that's it, 5-1 at the most it's going to be? Because I felt like your tempo after that was just really up there.
I was waiting to see in game 2 if he was keeping the same level or not, because in game 1 he played pretty well. So I was like, okay, if he plays always like that, it's gonna be close. But obviously I'm more used than him to this kind of long format. When I practice for a very long time, all day long, so I get exhausted obviously, but like first game, I think was my worst game, so it doesn't mean much. Like I was exhausted a bit more after, but the stress from game 1 was a bit bad for me. So, especially like with Rus, you open with Rus, you want to win, right? If you lose with Rus, it's a very bad start, so it was a bit stressful.
Yeah, now looking at game number 1, one of the things that is interesting to me, at least one of the things that was intriguing to watch, is that about 30 minutes prior to the end of the game, you bought a lot of stone, you were getting ready to drop the Wonder. What went through your head when you saw all this assault beginning towards your base, and you were there sitting on the resources ready for a Wonder, but you couldn't build it? What was your mindset there?
I mean, I bought the stone very early, so you couldn't do that, because I was afraid he would go for a Wonder. So that was just, like, my plan was to get a good bank, try to solidify my position, and once I feel like I'm safe, I'm gonna go for a Wonder. And that was pretty much, I mean, it worked, right? I think he could have played better on, like, the three-prong attack. He could have pushed better in the left side and in the middle. But yeah, I felt like during the game he was playing worse and worse, pretty much. So when it was the moment I dropped the Wonder, I was like, okay, normally it should be fine. Obviously, he still had the second site possibility, and he still had China. We see it's better than Rus, obviously, in late. So, I mean, it was never a safe win for sure. It was always very dangerous. I was pretty lucky to win this one, I think.
I want to talk to you still about that first game, because to me, that was just the highlight, right? I think that's probably one of the best games of Age of Empires 4 we've ever seen. I think that game had it all.
Yeah.
There was a win condition in the end of the game there for B to go for a landmark snipe. Were you at all thinking about that as a potential threat to your Wonder victory?
Yeah, for sure. But, I mean, I had still 2 landmarks left. And the problem is that if he starts pushing in the middle, it means I'm gonna push him on the right, which means I'm gonna get back my landmark. So if he really wants to do something good, it's gonna be hard, right? Because if I always think about it, I should be fine. And I was always thinking about it. But yeah, at some point I was like, maybe he's gonna go through the middle and go with like 20 rams and a lot of units. But obviously, like my units can body block very easily. And at the same time, as I said, like if he commits totally to the middle, I can send like villagers on the right to repair my my landmark. At least not the Spasskaya because it was a little bit deep, but the High Traders, it's the name I think. So I was like, okay, even if he snipes my 2 building here, if I repair on the right, and then he realized that, and you lose everything in the middle, I can still go back on the left and repair everything in the middle pretty much. So I was not that worried because I had a big army and a big bank, but it was for sure a possibility I kept in mind.
All right. Congratulations again for being the champion of the Elite Classic.
Thanks.
Anyone that you want to thank for, the fans, practice partners, any message that you want to convey to the large crowd before we wrap this interview?
I mean, thanks to my team, obviously. They keep supporting me, and that's obviously very appreciated. And thanks to everyone who supports me. No thanks to my practice smarter, because nobody helped me this week. I barely played. Nobody wanted to play. But it is what it is.
Well, huge congratulations to you,
Thanks.
mate. We're excited for you. It was a wonderful performance for you today. I don't think you made a single mistake. So congratulations, and yeah, you've earned some time to go chill out and just relax as we head off to the next major.
Yeah, play the 2v2. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right, Lidakor. Well, we'll say goodbye to MarineLorD, and
All right.
let's start talking about the next stage of tonight.